told Zimmerman she was tight on money, and the next thing on the list were winter coats and boots. So instead of giving Jackson a ticket, Officer Zimmerman went to the store and bought 2 car seats and even installed them in Jackson's car. Zimmerman said his parents taught him to always do the right thing when no one's looking. Outside tonight, rain likely, lows in the upper 30s. You're listening to WRRD and WTTN.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves' corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
And welcome to the Wednesday edition of the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. I am your host, Dominic Salvia. Michael Crudy, well, he's on the road. He will be joining us shortly. You know, folks, it's Hump Day. Thank God. Lots of news to get to. Crudy will join us in a little while. I got Fancy Brian here as well. You can join us on the phones today, as always. Want to hear what you have to say? Always want to hear what you have to say at 844-967-2789. It's almost hard to determine where to start. It just seems like the news continues to fold and blow up and come out and just constantly deluge over us. So you got to kind of pick your battles. And the one I think we need to start with today is with Donald Trump's attorneys. Lots of court cases, as you know, going on with regards to the president and trying to get access to his taxes. One of those cases came before a judge today. In that hearing, as Harper Nadito writes, Trump lawyer says president couldn't be prosecuted for shooting someone on Fifth Avenue. Now, Brian, we have that sound. Let's remember what Trump said in the past.
My people are so smart. And you know what else they say about my people? The polls. They say, I have the most loyal people. Did you ever see that? Where I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and I wouldn't lose any voters, okay? It's like incredible.
From the Hill, an attorney for President Trump told a federal appeals court Wednesday that Trump could not be prosecuted even if he shot someone on Fifth Avenue in New York amid a legal fight that seems destined for the Supreme Court. Trump's personal attorney, one of the many apparently, hard to keep track, Brian.
Michael Cohen is a very talented lawyer. He's a good lawyer at my firm.
Nope, not that one. That one's in jail. This one, William Consovoy, he made the remark during oral arguments in a case involving a Manhattan district attorney subpoena seeking Trump's tax returns and financial records from his accounting firm. The president's attorneys have argued he has blanket immunity from criminal prosecution and even investigation while in office. We have some sound of this, want to get this out there because this is really, I think, goes against everything that I was taught to believe on how this country, how self-governed people should endeavor to rule themselves. Let's start at the beginning, Brian, cut number 80.
Is the entire subpoena, this entire fishing expedition that is improper here. There is no argument. And my friend, and I give him credit, has tried mightily to explain why.
Is it your view that they're not seeking the tax returns for a legitimate investigatory purpose and they are doing this just to try to embarrass the president? I mean, is that the argument?
We believe there is evidence of that, yes. And certainly in their brief, when pushed on this point, the response we got was impeachment isn't going the way we want. The president said he was going to disclose them during the election and he hasn't. Other presidents have. These are arguments that sound in a policy disagreement with the president, not in the basis of an investigation.
Again, that's the attorney for Trump, Consovoy, talking with Judge Denny Chin. Let's go cut number 81.
The position is that district attorneys from all around the country, U.S. attorneys from all around the country are going to act in bad faith. That's the concern?
I think there's an incentive. I would not say everyone is going to act in bad faith. Even in Clinton v. Jones, when the court said, this case is going to proceed, but it's important that we're explaining that it's a federal court, the court said local pressures may apply differently in a state forum than they do in a federal. The court may agree or disagree, but that was the unanimous judgment of the Supreme Court in Clinton v. Jones.
And finally, cut 82, Consovoy and Judge Shin.
What's your view on the Fifth Avenue example? Local authorities couldn't investigate, they couldn't do anything about it?
I think once a president is removed from office, any local authority, this is not a permanent immunity.
Well, I'm talking about while in office.
No.
That's the hypo. Nothing could be done. That's your position.
That is correct. That is correct.
So there you have it, folks. Donald Trump could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue, according to the pleadings of his own attorney, as a president of the United States, and he could not be prosecuted for it until maybe after he's out of office.
No man is above the law. No man.
You know who that is?
Who's that?
That's Gorsuch.
Gorsuch said that no man is above
Gorsuch
the law.
in his confirmation hearing.
And that includes, of course, the president. This is so asinine to me. And I was hoping, and maybe we'll get to this later as well, that according to Rachel Maddow yesterday, that perhaps this case would pry open this also asinine decision or ruling judgment of the OLC, Office of Legal Counsel, in the Department of Justice, which states that you cannot indict a sitting president. Of course, that goes against everything. It's never been tested, and I'm hoping that this somehow, some way will come up and we'll be able to get a definite ruling that that is not the case. If the president can shoot somebody illegally, not in self-defense, walks up and shoots somebody in the head, let's say President Donald Trump walks out of the White House, goes over to Congress and shoots Nancy Pelosi in the head, his attorneys would argue that he can't be prosecuted for that. So let's say, what else? What if he shoots two people in the head? Where does it stop? How does it matter? What if he, engages? What if he drops some bombs domestically? What if he takes out his entire political rival? He wipes them all out. According to the lawyers for the president in this case, he could not be prosecuted. He could not be stopped. How do you stop someone? Under what ruling? If this is the case, what would stop President Trump from continuing on this carnage? And not Trump, of course, any president in that role. Think of the most terrible things you could ever conceive of with regards to nefarious, evil dictator types. And that would be allowed if you believe the arguments of Trump's personal attorneys.
Oh, but once he's removed, you can do it.
Good luck. Who's going to be there to remove him? 844-967-2789. Again, back to this. Let's just play that one more time, if you would, Brian. The last one, cut number 82.
What's your view on the Fifth Avenue example? Local authorities couldn't investigate, they couldn't do anything about it?
I think once a president is removed from office, any local authority, this is not a permanent immunity.
Well, I'm talking about while in office.
No.
That's the hypo. Nothing could be done. That's your position.
That is correct. That is correct.
Nothing could be done. It's like Kill Bill, man. It's going to be total carnage. Trump can do anything he wants. He can wax everybody he wants. There's nothing you could do. There's no redress for the victims or the families or society or the danger to the cultures or et cetera, or the danger to the continued survival of this democracy. Nope, doesn't matter. As president, he can do whatever he wants. Now, this particular case, back to the Hill, the case stems from a subpoena that Manhattan DA Cyrus Vance issued to the accounting firm Mazars, seeking the same financial records that are at the heart of a separate court battle involving two Democratic-controlled House hearings. The Manhattan DA's office accused Trump of making up claims about his tax returns and other financial records that do not exist in the law. Carrie Dunn, a lawyer with the office, pushed back aggressively against the arguments that Trump's records were protected under the Constitution. Quote, "There is no privilege for tax returns, whether it's the president or anybody else in the country. Yes, he may view them as embarrassing or sensitive, but yes, tax returns do in fact get subpoenaed all the time in financial investigations. They are making this up, Your Honor. That's all I can say," Dunn added. The judges appeared skeptical of the president's broad claims that he has a blanket immunity from criminal prosecution and even investigation while in office. Among the records that Vance's office initially sought were those related to payments Trump had made to Stephanie Clifford, more commonly known as Stormy Daniels, and Karen McDougal in an effort to cover up the president's alleged affairs with the women prior to his time in office. Trump has denied being involved with Clifford or McDougal. But of course, we have seen Trump's canceled checks. We see his signature on the checks, of course, and Donnie Jr.'s, and I think their CFOs as well. Trump's lawyers asked a federal district court judge to block the subpoena that was filed in state court earlier this month. The district judge dismissed the request and blasted the president's argument that he enjoys absolute immunity from criminal process of any kind. The president's attorneys quickly appealed the ruling. The case has indeed progressed more rapidly than Trump's legal battles with Congress. The House Ways and Means Committee effort to obtain the president's federal tax returns is still unfolding in the D.C. District Court, as is the president's lawsuit against members of Congress and New York officials over a recent law in that state allowing Congress to obtain the president's returns. Earlier this month, the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals ruled in favor of the House Oversight and Reform Committee's efforts to subpoena Mazares in another case that could reach the Supreme Court. Vance and Trump's lawyers have agreed to expedite their case in an effort to fast-track it to the Supreme Court. Vance said that his office would not enforce the subpoena while the legal battle plays out. Robert Katzman, chief judge for the Second Circuit, acknowledged the fight will likely move to the nation's highest court. "This case seems bound for the Supreme Court," Katzman said. "I think both sides see that as an inevitability, Your Honor," Dunn responded. Yeah, the president just going around shooting people, and that's totally okay, and there's nothing you can do about it. Suck it, America. He's the president. That's their attitude. That's what they're taking. And he's been smacked down and pushed away. This has been rejected all the way up, and now today and presumably to the Supreme Court. Yet the Republicans, they stand behind this man. What kind of philosophy? What kind? How do you do that? How can you actually suggest for 1 second on this earth that in a country that values the individual and values the right to life, liberty, and happiness, that because someone is in charge of the executive branch, that they have a blanket absolute immunity to go around and start putting caps in people's ass? Does that also mean that the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, Roberts, can he do it too? Hell, what about Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi? You see what I'm saying? Give me a call. Let me know what your thoughts are. 844-967-2789.
As soon as my routine audit's finished, I'll release my returns. I'll be very proud to.
If you have an innocent client, act like it.
I want to release my tax returns, but I can't release it while I'm under an audit.
You guys think you're above the law. You ain't above the line.
When you have your staff taking the Fifth Amendment, taking the Fifth, so they're not prosecuted, I think it's disgraceful.
If he does that again, you can shoot him.
Tune in to Wisconsin's Political Talk on WRRD 1510 AM. Weekdays, hear the Earl Ingram Show from 6 to 9 a.m. Next, it's Stephanie Miller from 9 to 11. From 11 till 2, the Tom Hartman Program. At 2 o'clock, it's Matt Flynn Direct. From 3 to 6, the Devil's Advocates. And at 6, it's Busted Pencils, Brandy Grayson, and Maggie Dawn. Wisconsin's Political Talk. Listen online at newstalk1510am.com.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern.
U.S. Senator Ron Johnson. Mueller, in an exhaustive and excruciatingly detailed investigation, found no evidence of conspiracy conclusion. Kind of end of story.
You cannot say that. The evidence they found did not rise.
I just said
the evidence they doesn't make it true, sir. The evidence they found, according to the Mueller report, did not rise to criminal conspiracy. They used encrypted data. They deleted data. They didn't have access to some of the Russian players. You didn't know that your president that you voted for was in negotiations to build a condo in Moscow and give Putin a cherry on top.
Just drop your pen.
I did. I get a little excited.
Calm down here, Don.
But here's a lot of things that I would say, yes, there is absolutely collusion. Now, does it rise to criminal conspiracy? They could not prove that beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, that's not no conspiracy.
I'm just watching the veins pop out of your neck here, and I'm getting a little concerned about you, Don.
I'll be all right if you just answer the question, sir.
Listen to the Devil's Advocates live weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m.
Charged, never convicted. Dom and Croats are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. You can join us on the phones at 844-967-2789.
You know, an hour ago, I was on the square.
I know, dude. Oh, good to see you, man.
Should play a little Sammy Hagar. I can't drive 55.
I know, you made good time.
Buddy, I didn't mean to come to Milwaukee today, but here I am. Let's do a little show. I hear nothing exciting happened so far.
No, I can't wait to be president so I can start shooting people.
Is that what it would take? I mean, if you had... let me ask you this question just for a moment. Let me theorize with you. If you did have the immunity of the presidency, would you be out there shooting people?
No, of course not, man. I'm a lover, not a fighter, Crudy.
If Trump wins on the merits of this unqualified immunity case, do you think he'll take the next step and start shooting people?
I would be a little concerned that he might. And not even him, but who else knows who comes behind this wreck? I mean, if he's showing the people the way, man, there's no reason why would some other despot out there is going to start busting chops all the way to the top. And once you get there, man, hell, you can stay up there as long
forever.
Yeah, man.
As I heard, something of a boring open of the show, but as I heard some guy rambling on about, well, you basically kill your competition.
Kill your rivals, sure. Who's going to run against you? Because, you can shoot them. You can't get arrested for it because you're still the president. So you shoot all your rivals. You're president for life.
Nominate you, Dom, for president.
But, I mean, what is the next step? I mean, this is why it's so absolutely asinine. And thankfully, the judges so far have recognized that. I mean, it's an embarrassing position. Yes, they have. They have. That's why
I heard the tape. I'm just saying, just because they questioned. I mean, there were some strongly phrased questions at the Wisconsin Supreme Court as they, looked at the separation of powers issue. But this one seems a little more extreme. I love the fact that Fancy Brian played Gorsuch. No man is above the law. Well, Gorsuch, you're going to have a chance to rule on that, perhaps in the very short run.
Yeah. He will. And
because the appeals court's going to say, no man's above the law. And of course, immediate appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court. And then 5-4? And it's a crapshoot.
Yes, as the political philosophy as attributable to the different justices, certainly concerning, but come on. I cannot imagine that these folks are going to put their name on something like that in history. I just don't see it. Because what's going to happen then? The next Democratic's going to go up there and wax the U.S. Supreme Court? I mean, this is what we're saying. And
hey, if necessary.
If this is the three co-equal branches, well, I want to know who the godfather of the judicial system and the godfather of the legislature, godmother perhaps, do they have the same ability?
Well, I would say whoever the godfather or godmother would be is the person with the best shot. 844-967-2789. Dom, you've got a shot. You're running for president. I nominate you. Mike from Mount Horeb, you're first on the phones. Welcome, sir.
Hey, and I'll vote for you, Dom.
All right. Thanks, Mike.
Hey, so I've been listening to you guys for quite many, many years. Thank you very much for being here with us.
No, thanks, man.
Getting the truth out. But what I don't understand is this truth here, that he can't be prosecuted. I'm in the middle of rehab right now, so forgive me. I'm a little out of breath.
Yeah, man.
How is it the top American is immune? How is that possible?
Right.
Uniquely.
You should be questioning that.
He is just like me. There's no difference other than he's an American and he's got some money, that's it. But he's got this office that we put him in. So we did really, but he's there.
Well, and to hear his attorney's legal pleadings in a different case, well, there is no constitutional remedy, right? Trump says unconstitutional impeachment. So if you add it all together, you cannot hold the guy accountable in a court of law, Mike. You can't hold the guy accountable through the impeachment process.
Right. So you can't hold him accountable because, of course, he wants to be the strong man. He wants to be the dictator. That's why he gravitates to folks like Erdogan and Putin and Kim Jong-un. I mean, those are his brothers in arms, man.
Mike, appreciate the call. Next time, please bring down your resting heart rate before you dial.
We hope you're well, Mike. Stay strong, my friend. But you're right.
No, he meant rehab, like physical rehab, right? Not the sort of rehab you need to go to.
I don't have a problem, but you should be. This should bother you to your core. And this all is based on the OLC, right? That there's this
Office of Legal Counsel opinion.
The Justice Department. And the last judge kind of went to this as well. I forget the name of the judge, but he addressed this opinion by the Justice Department, essentially saying my interpretation was that it should be challenged. This is not how this country works.
But the very same case they're referencing is what the civil case, the unanimous decision of the U.S. Supreme Court in Jones v. Clinton, and they made Clinton go testify as, I even heard Rush Limbaugh. You and Rush have a very similar take on the impeachment of Bill Clinton.
What does he say?
Well, it was about lying to a federal judge in a deposition.
That's what I'm saying.
Real criminality, not like this witch hunt lynching we've got going on in D.C. now.
What Bill Clinton did, lying to a federal judge, terrible. What this president is doing is way beyond that. Way beyond that. It's not even close.
Really, I can top it.
Oh, yeah?
Republicans charged the Mount today.
Oh.
Like 25 Republican Congress people charged a secured congressional hearing.
They were all arrested and thrown in jail, right?
Should be.
What would happen if you and I did that?
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
Come back. Phone lines open. 844-967-2789. Devil's Advocates, we're at it again.
If politics is boring, you're doing it wrong. Check out more at domandcroot.com.
When you are given immunity, that means that you've probably committed a crime.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Tune in to Matt Flynn Direct, weekdays from 2 to 3 on WRRD 1510 AM and Talk 92.7 FM Madison. We'll be covering all politics, national to local, from a Wisconsin perspective. This is an open mic, no holds barred. Call on any political subject. That's Matt Flynn Direct, weekdays 2 to 3 on WRRD 1510 AM and Talk 92.7 FM Madison. Always streaming at newstalk1510am.com.
Cut you down.
You are listening to WRRD 1510 AM, Waukesha, Milwaukee. Always streaming at newstalk1510am.com.
From the Capitol in Madison, this is Wiz Politics Midday.
Good afternoon. I'm Pat Pobletti, and our report for Tuesday, October 22nd is brought to you by Spectrum. The legislature's top two Republicans quickly rejected Governor Tony Evers' call to act on red flag laws and universal background checks in a special session next month, vowing they will stand to protect Second Amendment rights. But first, the State Dept party has hired Nellie Cyrus, who most recently worked for a group teaching effective management techniques to social change organizations, as its new executive director. Cyrus, a vice president for the Management Center, will begin with the party full-time on January 2nd. Until then, she will work for the party as a consultant on a part-time basis, a spokeswoman said. Her past experience includes serving as the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee's National Field Director for the Great Lakes region during the 15-16 cycle, as well as various roles in Illinois campaigns. Additionally, the Marquette University Law School's first national poll found conservatives are more likely to have a higher confidence in the U.S. Supreme Court than liberals. Still, half of those surveyed said the court occupies a, quote, moderate position on the liberal-conservative spectrum, with 39% considering it more conservative and 12% liberal. The poll also found just 32% have a great deal or a lot of confidence that a future nominee by President Trump would be the right kind of person for the court. 13% said they had some confidence in such a pick, while 56% said they had little or none. Finally, Evers anticipated GOP leadership stance and told reporters in Milwaukee Monday he would call, quote, serial special sessions until they vote on the bills. He believes the legislature will ultimately take up the bills or face consequences from voters. Senate Majority Leader Scott Fitzgerald, who's running for Congress, pledged his chamber, quote, will not be a part of a drawn-out strategy to infringe on constitutional rights. Assembly Speaker Robin Vos added that the special session won't change the position of protecting Second Amendment rights and suggested the call was a sign that Evers, quote, stands ready to confiscate guns in our state. For Wiz Politics Midday, sponsored by Spectrum, I'm Pat Pobletti.
This has been Wiz Politics Midday. For more state government and political news, visit wizpolitics.com.
Real solutions for development in Wisconsin. Tune in every Saturday for Development Matters with Ken Harwood from 10 a.m. until noon, right here on Talk 92.7, Wisconsin Political Talk.
60% of the time, they're right every time. Dom and Cruz are the Devil's Advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Happy Hump Day to us all. Dominic, I've got the little Expedia cruise event tonight in Madison. Yeah. So I'm going to have to haul ass back down the highway in the other direction. I would point out a little stoppage here in Milwaukee. We're 43 South and 94 West. And what is that, 794 North or something coming up across the Hone Bridge? Yep. There was enough backed up traffic.
Okay.
It was backing up all the way down the Hone.
Oof.
Yeah. Thankfully, I was coming east. They better have that mess cleaned up by 6. Expedia Cruise Centers of Madison is going to host tonight at about 7 o'clock a little informational session. We've invited our fair audience to join us on an adventure. Now I'm going on a cruise to Mexico.
Yeah.
And we're going to give people the details. And I need you people to start showing up and signing up because I want to lock this thing down, man, right?
Yes. Make it happen.
We do want to go cruising, right?
3 different ports in Mexico. We're leaving out of L.A. to what?
And a reception includes a hotel room in L.A. That's a legal marijuana state if people weren't paying attention.
Really? It wasn't before? I couldn't tell on Venice Beach.
We're calling it a 420 cruise. 420 will be in Mazatlan, Mexico, but most of the 420 is going to happen at the reception. But join Crudy tonight at 7 o'clock, Expedia Cruise Ship Centers of Madison. Google it, but it's off Mineral Point Road. Pretty easy to find, off by like the Pizza Hut over there. You know, by the Pizza Hut.
All right.
Let's get back to the phones, Dom. Our lawless, let me correct myself, above the law president,
yeah.
Donald Trump, Duke from Brookfield. You're next. Welcome, sir.
Yeah, I believe the term lawless is more appropriate.
how do you guys explain Biden jumping back into the lead all of a sudden? He's in all 3 or 4 polls this week.
Well, we were going to get there, Duke. Here's what I would say. And the polling does seem to indicate that the margins of the front runners lead, and in this case, we're talking about Biden. He's widening the gap. CNN, I heard them talking about it. I really haven't dug in deeply, but CNN suggested that the most important thing that people expressed was the ability to beat Donald Trump. And right now, Joe Biden is perceived as a return to normalcy. And after Donald Trump, man, that's, I think this country would love to get back just to a standard of normalcy, man, where you don't have to worry about what the president's going to freaking do today, what he's going to break.
But I'm concerned about that, Duke, because that normalcy that we enjoyed prior to Donald Trump allowed for Donald Trump to become the president. I don't know if we need to go back to that, Crudy. I'd rather move ahead.
Duke, I guess we're moving ahead. Appreciate your call. Next one up, Paul from Milwaukee. Paul, welcome. What do you got?
Hey, guys. Great show. I've always enjoyed your shows as much as I can listen to them.
Thank you.
And, it's refreshing. I'm laughing all the time. The other day I was driving down from Minnesota, and, it made the time go really, really quick, and I was laughing, and the sound bites are fantastic. Anyways, regarding this whole, the president can do anything without prosecution, that was based on a memo written by the DOJ, right?
Correct.
Now that isn't law. Just because of
No,
the DOJ.
not at all. Just some lawyer's opinion to try and cover Nixon's ass, as I understand it.
Right. And it's about time that this is taken to the Supreme Court and challenged. It would be interesting to see how the Supreme Court reacts to that, because the basis is that the president would be, distracted, that he couldn't do his job? Well, think about if they did nothing. Let's say he did shoot someone, and they didn't prosecute him. In essence, he would be distracted. I mean, the nation would be distracted, and he'd be distracted by all the news that's surrounding that.
How is that different than now, other than we haven't yet caught him shooting someone on Fifth Avenue? But, I mean, he's got the nation distracted every day with outrage or criminality or high crimes or some sort of abuse of his office. How would that differ much?
Death.
It doesn't. It doesn't. In fact, it's just like, the people of the United States are getting addicted to his malfeasance every day. He does something bizarre, and it's just one distraction after another. I think people are getting you're right. They're getting numb to it, but they're also getting fatigued. And so, all right. Thanks for talking, guys.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thanks
Thank
for
you,
the
Paul.
kind words, Paul. Glad we make you laugh.
844-967-2789. Paul, I've been fatigued and tired of it for a very long time. But really what we need are the Republican senators to start to get fatigued, to start to get tired of it, to get tired of continually defending the indefensible.
How about this one? How do you defend the president's legal theory or his legal team? Therefore, it is King Trump's legal theory. I am the law. The president above the law, or at least above prosecution while he is the president, which would seemingly, at least in the man of this particular guy, would seem to be an incentive for him to use the full extent of his powers. If he's got to go off Joe Biden to win re-election, theoretically he would be beyond prosecution, beyond impeachment, and he could keep often his opponents from here to eternity.
Well, I would question,
or until his old fat ass dies.
In giving the arguments that his attorneys are representing, I'm not clear that Trump has to do it himself, personally. I mean, what if the president...
So, has Don Jr. carry it out and then pardons him?
Right.
No, I think it's exclusively the president that's, above the law, according to the legal pleadings. They were referencing the Jones-Clinton case, and they were referencing the specific circumstance the Trump claims would not lose him any support.
But they're
with his
also
followers.
saying that his accounting firm cannot hand over these documents because they're the president's documents, even though these documents were created and occurred in the past several years before
It's all
he was
ludicrous.
president. But
We
that's
get it.
but that's the position. I mean, if that's the case, the argument would be that it's not just the president who was immune, that anybody else in his employ could also be de facto immune.
As long as they have an NDA and, everyone I've ever known, anyone I've ever, it's too illogical to try and follow.
What is the limiting factor on that legal argument? I'm not clear.
My ability to try and explain it to the audience. 844-967-2789. Thank goodness they're often smarter than I.
Thankfully.
Pete from Milwaukee.
Hey, Pete.
Make it make sense for the fine listeners here in America, Pete. Tell us how the president could be above the law.
Who?
Pete, you're up.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Thanks for putting me on. Well, to me, he's been advocating violence against his opponents and anyone who is a distractor of him since he's been on the campaign trail. So this isn't really too surprising.
Well, certainly protesters, perhaps Jim Acosta, other people in the media.
I'll pay the legal bills. If anyone see anyone throwing a tomato, just knock the crap out of them. That kind of stuff.
And people literally did things of that nature during the campaign, Pete.
Exactly. So what if he appoints a group of people to protect him who he feels because he needs it because he feels threatened?
You mean the tough guys,
people,
like the cops in the military?
Well, he says he's a tough guy, but,
No, he says he has the support of the tough guys, the cops in the military.
Okay, so he puts a hit team out, and anyone who, he wants, taken care of, they've got immunity because it's his word, and he's the president, and you can't do anything about it. That sounds to me like a dictator.
It sure does.
Welcome to the banana republic that is America, Peter.
So at least as
sorry, Pete.
As Trump's attorneys would defend him. And
let's see if that holds up.
And we'll see if the conservatives of the Supreme Court agree.
I don't know that the D.C. district, is that at the D.C. district? That's the second most powerful court in the nation. But I suspect the ruling will go against Trump's trumped-up legal pleadings, and then it goes on to the U.S. Supreme Court, and maybe the question gets answered once and for all. And setting aside, Republicans, if possible, set aside the fact that he's on your team or perhaps you're on his team. Would you do it if it was Obama?
Right.
Would you defend the legal pleadings of President Obama if he made his claim in court today? He could shoot a guy on Fifth Avenue and be beyond prosecution.
I would not
defend
you, Crudy. If you were the president and you were claiming that right, I would not defend that. That is asinine.
Would you give me an alibi?
Maybe, but that position is antithetical to what I believe this country is supposed to be about. And when we as the citizens, the majority, the masses, if we actually got organized, if this were to happen, we could actually have some greater say.
If the Obama example doesn't set it home for you,
yeah.
What if it was Hillary?
Oh, forget it now. See, then they get
Lock her up!
Lock her up!
844-967-2789.
I don't know what you mean by lock her up.
Now imagine she's white.
Betsy, welcome to the show. How you doing, sister?
Hey, you guys. You have
Betsy.
had a lot of compliments today, and I just want to add to the compliments.
Yeah, keep stroking our egos.
We'll take it, Betsy.
You guys, I mean it. If it weren't for you, I don't know. I mean, Wisconsin would be in a whole different place, and it's bad enough as it is with Fitzgerald and Voss. I'm just really tired of these guys, and I'm afraid because I mean it's true. We're heading in that direction. I mean it's dictatorship. It's oligarch. It's kleptocracy. I mean you name it, it's happening right before our eyes. Putin wouldn't put up with this. We're not going to see Trump's taxes because he's guilty as sin. I mean,
I appreciate that you've moderated on some of your opinions in this regard, Betsy, and haven't broken any FCC rules.
Anyway, you guys, I just keep up the good work. I don't hold hope. Honest to God, I think our democracy is
Come on. While there's life, there's hope, Betsy. There's always hope.
Oh, God.
Come on, you're still fighting, sister. You're on the right side of the daisies. What do you mean there's no hope?
Rebellions are built on hope. I have to say I have white privilege, and the only thing is I'm a woman. That kind of hurts me a little bit, but I really see it before my eyes happening. It's just so sad. I really was in a bubble, and then Scott Walker came and woke me up. I mean, life was perfect.
Yeah. Well, Betsy, I'm glad you woke up. And sometimes, being aware and having to deal with the realities of, some of these situations, it can be drag.
It's a buzzkill.
It certainly is.
It harshes your buzz.
There is bliss in ignorance, but I'd rather have access to the information and have to deal with the burden of the knowledge of what we have and the circumstances of what we have than either willfully or not keeping my head in the sand. But I would say this, Betsy, I do believe that his taxes will come out sooner or later.
I'm less clear that that's the case.
I have no doubt. I don't see anything in these legal arguments put forth that would suggest that for some reason they can't come out. People get their taxes taken out, subpoenaed all the time. I mean, it is just it's defense. I get it. They got to throw something against the wall. But if your defense is that the president can shoot anybody and not be prosecuted for it, I don't think you're going to win that case.
We'll see.
A lot of people are talking about it.
844-967-2789. Going back to the phones. And Wisco Paul next. Welcome back.
Hey, gentlemen. Thanks for taking my call today, as always. Yeah, Trump's fatigue actually isn't the word for it. It's out of control. Can hardly handle this guy. It's day in, day out. But my thoughts today are this thing has to be a lot deeper than any of us know or realize. And if what you said today, 25 Republicans stormed a meeting in the Capitol, I mean, what? Try to explain to me. Please try to explain to me why.
Hippie protesters.
They've got to.
Why?
Paul, they've got to attack the process. This is the Brooks Brother Riot 2.0. And I haven't looked up the history on this, but I believe Congressman Matt Gaetz from Florida was part of the Brooks Brother Riot, which was what? They charged the mound during the Florida recount in Bush v. Gore. And effectively, they stalled the system. They made it seem like there was some sort of grassroots uprising. Stop the recount. No, it was a bunch of Republicans, Paul. And today, this disingenuous, I mean, there a lot of them walking in there with electronics. Those were not permitted, but above and beyond the technical breaking of the protocol, there's plenty of Republicans that are in the room.
Right.
These are 3 committees worth of Republicans that are given access directly and ultimately. These Republicans are going to see these transcripts. These Republicans are going to see this testimony publicly because it will all lay out for the American people and the Republicans and guys like you and I, Paul, during the impeachment trial of Donald Trump.
I can't even imagine what the impeachment trial of Donald Trump is going to look like.
Buddy, it's going to play out on the radio, I guarantee you. It will be. We are going to go bell to bell impeachment trial of Donald Trump. When that starts playing out, Paul, I guarantee you, all except the devil's advocates, they better wrap up testimony by 4 o'clock Eastern each day, because everything else is expendable, Paul, other than the testimony during the impeachment of Donald Trump. I promise you, bell-to-bell coverage, buddy.
Thank you for the call. Paul, you can join us on the phones, 844-967-2789. And don't look at this as being exhausted because of Trump. Think of it as an opportunity to engage in your civic duty. It's your civic responsibility to be outraged that a president of the United States would actually go to court and say he can shoot you and not be prosecuted so long as he remains president of the United States.
Dominic, each and every day, physiologically, people are being lifted to levels that are not comfortable for them. This country is going to need a collective nap.
Let's have a collective drink. Collective drinks. That's what we need.
A little day drinking. Yeah. You always need a nap. Come back with us. More of your phone calls. Always need to hear from you at 844-967-2789. More Devils on the other side.
So if you see somebody getting ready to throw a tomato, knock the crap out of them, would you? Seriously.
They deserve to die, and I hope they burn in hell.
I promise you, I will pay for the legal fees, I promise.
Well, let's give him credit. At least he didn't spike himself.
The Devil's Advocates are going on an adventure, and we want you to join us. Our friends at Expedia Cruise Ship Centers of Madison will be hosting an informational session on October 23rd at 7 p.m. to share all the details about our inaugural Devil's Advocates Mexican cruise. Join Crudy October 23rd at 7 p.m. and get all the details.
Expedia Cruise Ship Centers of Madison. Expedia Prices, local service. Visit them on Madison's west side off Mineral Point Road or Google Expedia Cruise Ship Centers of Madison. Ask about the Devil's Advocates special.
You concerned about speaking up at work? Do you feel like you have no say in your day-to-day work routine? Join Teamsters Local 344. Call 414-258-4545. Get a seat at the table. Join your brothers and sisters in negotiating for better wages, hours, and working conditions, and be part of the most powerful union in North America. Teamsters Local 344 covers sales and service throughout Southeast Wisconsin and package and airlines statewide. Contact Teamsters Local 344 at 414-258-4545 or at local344.org.
Gingras, Thompson, and Wachs, the attorneys with more power, more fight, and the most heart, are here to serve you, Milwaukee. From personal injury to civil rights cases, we are determined to combat dishonesty and injustice. And our team brings the fight with integrity, passion, and dedication that never quits. Together, we right the wrong, and we are ready for battle. There are law firms, and then there is Gingras, Thompson, and Wachs. Find us online at gtwlawyers.com.
5 your local single-source IT solutions provider, specializing in cloud technology, consulting, servers, networks, and hosting. We manage your IT so you can focus on running your business. Enjoy technology. Enjoy 59s.com.
Hey guys, I'm Maggie Dawn, your lady lawyer, legal eagle, and sensei of economics. Tune into my show, Dawn of the Resistance, live Thursdays and Fridays from 6 to 7 on WRRD 1510 AM. Always streaming live at newstalk1510am.com.
Yeah! Kick it!
The Devil's Advocates. Never personal, only politics.
We are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show, streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and on Twitter. You can always hit us up on the phones, 844-967-2789.
Dominic, talking about Republicans charging the mound on Capitol Hill today. In case you hadn't heard this story, let me read briefly from thehill.com. House Republicans stormed a closed-door hearing Wednesday to protest Democrats' impeachment inquiry process, breaking up the deposition of a top Defense Department official who was testifying about President Trump's dealings with Ukraine. Can you imagine if they charged a federal courtroom? I read on. They crashed the party, said Rep. Harley Ruda, a Dem from California, a member of the Oversight and Reform Committee, one of 3 House panels leading the impeachment probe. Let's not forget, all the Republicans on those 3 panels are allowed in the room.
Wait, there's Republicans in the room?
Dozens of Republicans, including some members of leadership like House Minority Whip Steve Scalise, barged into the secure hearing room in the Capitol basement where Laura Cooper, the Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Russia, Ukraine, and Eurasia, was set to provide private testimony. Several lawmakers said that in response to a Republican protest, House Intelligence Committee Chairman Adam Schiff left the room with Cooper, postponing the interview indefinitely. Here's a quote.
Obstruction of justice.
From Scalise. The fact that Adam Schiff won't even let the press in, you can't even go in and see what's going on in that room, Scalise told reporters outside the hearing room. Voting members of Congress are being denied access from being able to see what's happening behind these closed doors where they're trying to impeach the President of the United States with a one-sided set of rules. They call the witnesses, Dom.
They're doing an investigation because why? The DOJ declined to do so even after 2 federal referrals for investigation.
Well, Dom, it was nothing but the finest of Republicans, including GOP reps Andy Biggs, Bradley Burden, Matt Gaetz, Louis Gohmert, and Steve King.
Oh, what a party scene there.
And members of the conservative House Freedom Caucus also entered the room. When we walked in, they looked dumbfounded, and the room just came to a stop, Byrne told The Hill. And we lined up along the wall or sat in chairs expecting them to do something. After several minutes, Adam Schiff got up and just walked out. And while he was walking out, I said, "Don't go."
Don't go?
Byrne's so clever. Republicans have repeatedly blasted Democrats for choosing to only allow members of the House Intelligence, Oversight, and Foreign Affairs committees to attend the hearings and depositions, arguing the information and transcripts should be made available to all members given the gravity of the consequences of the impeachment. They have also accused Democrats of selectively leaking information from those hearings to the press. Because Republicans never leak, especially at the White House. Rep. Roger Marshall, a Republican from Kansas, said Schiff said nothing after Republicans forced their way into the hearing room. He doesn't have the guts to come talk to us, Marshall said.
What?
He left. He just got up and left. He doesn't have the guts to tell us why we can't come in the room, why he doesn't want this to be transparent. It's the biggest facade, biggest farce of my life. So what if it was grand jury depositions? There would still be the exact same process, right? We've analogized this. We've even asked Jim Santel, is this accurate? This is like a grand jury deposition. This is the establishment of probable cause. Then you have the whole House vote.
After they present what they found.
Yeah, perhaps they'll call them articles of impeachment.
And the Republicans that are on these 3 committees, they'll know they're in a minority position, but they have every right to ask whatever questions they want about whatever topics they want of the witnesses, right? There's no restrictions on the Republicans that are in the room.
Correct. My understanding is that would be absolutely correct.
And there's Republicans like outgoing Congressman Jim Sensenbrenner from Wisconsin who actually has the ability to go into the room and is declining to do so.
You know what it's like once you've quit a job. No, you don't really care. He's kind of mailing it in, apparently. Well, he doesn't want to get caught in any difficult conversation.
We have some sound from Gates prior to storming the gates and your calls as well. Charles Franklin in the happy hour, 844-967-2789. We are the Devil's Advocates. We'll be right back.
If you missed something on the Devil's Advocates, don't worry. After you get over your shame, you can check out domandcroot.com. Podcasts and interviews updated daily.
You can do what you want to us, but we're not going to sit here and listen to you bad-mouth the United States of America.
I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Tune in to Wisconsin's Political Talk on WRRD 1510 AM. Weekdays, hear the Earl Ingram Show from 6 to 9 a.m. Next, it's Stephanie Miller from 9 to 11. From 11 till 2, the Tom Hartman Program. At 2 o'clock, it's Matt Flynn Direct. From 3 to 6, the Devil's Advocates. And at 6, it's Busted Pencils, Brandy Grayson, and Maggie Dawn. Wisconsin's Political Talk. Listen online at newstalk1510am.com.
Hi, I'm Kelly, and my family owns Madison Liquidators. We've officially moved into our new space off Pleasant View Road in Middleton. And we're excited to announce that Madison Liquidators is now Dane County's premier dealer for Groupe Lacoste. In addition to their unbeatable 25-year warranty, Groupe Lacoste has 10 lines to choose from, ranging from traditional to ultra-modern, all available in 18 different finishes. Give me a call and let's make a plan for your space, or go online to madisonliquidators.com and shop our complete inventory of used office furniture.
You are listening to WRRD 1510 AM, Waukesha, Milwaukee. Always streaming at newstalk1510am.com.
Capitol storm. Taylor attacked. I'm Mike Moss. Alabama Republican Mo Brooks is among 24 GOP lawmakers to storm the impeachment inquiry today.
We demand open proceedings. The American people deserve nothing less. Their representatives in Congress deserve nothing less.
The protest lasted 5 hours before lawmakers were called away to cast a vote. Illinois Democrat Raja Krishnamurthy.
None of the people who came wanted to talk about the substance of the allegations. Instead, they made the allegation that the process was unfair, despite the fact that more than 40 Republicans are participating in these proceedings, despite the fact that they have equal time to question the witnesses.
In Pennsylvania, the president called Bill Taylor his acting ambassador to Ukraine, who was hired by Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, a never-Trumper. After Taylor testified, the administration pressured Ukraine to launch politically motivated investigations.
I have witch hunts every week. I say, what's the witch hunt this week? They can't beat us at the ballot box. They cannot beat us at the ballot box. So they want to try and beat us the old-fashioned way, which is not very nice. They are a nasty group of people.
Trump called Republican critics today human scum. Boeing says it still holds out hope of getting approval to allow its 737 MAX planes to fly again this year after 2 fatal crashes linked to a computer system. More from correspondent Joe Ramsey.
Several major airlines have removed the MAX from their schedules through early next year. Flight control software has been the focus of investigations into the crashes. The families of victims in last year's Lion Air crash were told by Indonesian investigators that poor regulatory oversight and the design of the 737 MAX contributed to the fatal disaster.
The U.S. today lifted sanctions against Turkey that were imposed after claims of war crimes in its invasion of Kurds in Syria. And the U.S. said today it does not know the whereabouts of 100 ISIS prisoners who released. I'm Mike Moss.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern. This is Dom from the Devil's Advocates. You know, in the 7 years that Rudy and I have been doing the show, we have never had a more engaged, dialed in, and motivated audience, and we love them for it. Now is the time for you to reach the greatest audience ever. Call now, advertise with the Devil's Advocates and Real Resistance Radio. Market your products or services, get your message out, join the resistance. Call us at 414-635-0872. That's 414-635-0872, or go to realresistanceradio.com.
Has cleared the way for the cutting of Christmas trees across several national forests in the Southwest, despite arguments that a relatively rare bird is at risk. Correspondent Jan Johnson reports.
The focus of the court battle is the Mexican spotted owl that environmentalists say would be threatened by more tree cutting. But the U.S. District Judge signed off on several projects like prescribed burns that were put on hold in an earlier ruling. One side argued that the court should consider the effects on the owl from the thinning and logging in 6 national forests. The other said the previous ruling was too broad. This decision comes just in time to fell a tree in New Mexico's Carson National Forest that was chosen as this year's U.S. Capitol Christmas tree. Jan Johnson, Washington.
Firefighters say a car plunged from the 4th floor of a downtown Indianapolis parking garage today, killing the man and the woman inside. Police say the car landed on its roof. I'm Mike Moss.
1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. That means it could be you, your best man, your worst man. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org to know where you stand. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners. 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. That means it could be you, your best man, your worst man. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org to know where you stand. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
The Devil's Advocates.
We've got U.S. Senator Ron Johnson, our friend, live via phone. Ron, in all seriousness, if this was Barack Obama, you'd be screaming, "Stormy, stormy, stormy," from the rooftops.
You're too young to understand this excuse. This would be the Sergeant Schultz answer. I know nothing.
But as the chair of the HISCAC, sir, Homeland Security Governmental Affairs Committee, you could get to the bottom of this, could you not, Ron?
I see nothing. I know nothing. Making radio great again.
For WRRD and WTTN, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. Wisconsin Senate Majority Leader Scott Fitzgerald said yesterday he plans to quickly end the special session on gun legislation called by Governor Evers and may not even hold any hearings. The Republican from Juneau said he would likely gavel out of the session within minutes of convening it. The governor said Fitzgerald's plan is unacceptable. Evers called the special session for next month because Republicans have so far ignored two bills, one requiring background checks and another allowing judges to take guns away from dangerous people. Forecast for Milwaukee and Madison. Tonight, rain likely, lows in the upper 30s. Tomorrow, mostly sunny with highs in the upper 40s. For Friday, mostly sunny with highs in the mid-40s. You're listening to WRRD and WTTN.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves' corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back, hour 2 of the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. We've got a topper, Dom. I thought this could not be topped. Hour 1 started. You started the show without me. Thank you for doing so. Started with the fact that the president's legal defense today in court, recorded, you played it out for the people, Dom, was effectively President Trump could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and could not be prosecuted. At least not as long as he was the president. The legal pleading of the president's team, he is above the law up to and including capital crimes like murder. I'm thinking you couldn't top that. And Republicans, this whole Ukraine impeachment thing, right? The lynching, the witch hunt. Well, Republicans charged the mound today, Dom. We've talked about obstruction of justice. This is the literal,
right,
physical obstruction of the impeachment process by Republicans. About 25 of them. And here's the topper, the hour 2 topper, Dom, the new news that just broke. Trump signed off on GOP crashing impeachment testimony, Bloomberg says. President Trump, you in advance and approved of the plan for a contingent of Republican House members to disrupt the House impeachment inquiry Wednesday, according to Bloomberg News.
I will pay for the legal fees.
About 24 lawmakers stormed the secure hearing room Wednesday morning, disrupting the closed-door testimony of a Pentagon official. Here's a quote from perhaps America's dumbest congressman, Matt Gaetz. If behind those doors they intend to overturn the result of the American presidential election.
What?
We want to know what's going on.
They're not overturning an election. They're investigating whether or not high crimes and misdemeanors have taken place, behavior by the President of the United States. If that were to be the case, I think, unless he was also wrapped up in this investigation, I think the vice president would become the next president.
Dominic, Matt Gaetz, I want to make sure I attribute this source of this. He's apparently the ringleader of the protest.
We got some sound of Gaetz.
Oh, do we?
Yeah.
Do we have him chanting?
I don't know. Want to hear? Let's just play it out. Let's do it. Brian, if you would, let's do cut number 59.
Over? Did you say over?
Oh, wait. That's not.
Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor?
Hell no, and it ain't over now.
Matt Bluto Gaetz.
I'm gathered here with dozens of my congressional colleagues underground in the basement of the Capitol, because if behind those doors they intend to overturn the results of an American presidential election?
No.
We want to know what's going on.
You will.
And it's only reasonable that we would have questions because so far, Adam Schiff's impeachment inquiry has been marked by secret interviews, selective leaks, weird theatrical performances of transcripts that never happened, and lies about contacts with a whistleblower. And so I'm going to have a few of my colleagues give remarks, and then we're going to try to go in there and we're going to try to figure out what's going on behalf of the millions of Americans that we represent that want to see this Congress working for them and not obsessed with attacking a president who we believe has not done anything to deserve impeachment. Now the Republican whip, Steve Scalise.
Now, this sounds like punked. Like he thinks he's Ashton Kutcher. They're going to go in and, get one over on the Dems.
Of course, this is entirely, it's ridiculous because Matt Gaetz could just, offer to buy a beer at happy hour for one of the Republicans that is in the room.
On the committee.
And get whatever information he wants. Right?
I think Gaetz is technically on one of the committees.
Oh, and then let's do.
I'm not wrong about that, am I? I'm looking to Fancy Brian like he's going to know. But isn't Gaetz on the Intelligence Committee?
He is. I believe he is on at least one of those committees, yes.
Let's do cut number 70.
In other words, Gaetz can go in anytime he wants. Is that my understanding? I'll verify.
Let's verify that. In the meantime, cut 70.
We're going to go and see if we can get inside. So let's see if we can get in.
Who's with me? Let's go!
Congressman, any questions? And that's pretty much it. Then they storm the Bastille. And again, folks,
I heard they chanted, "Let us in! Let us in!" No, they chanted, literally, it's quoted in the piece at Yahoo, "Let us in, let us in."
And again, I would ask, ladies and gentlemen, citizens of this fine country, if any of us tried to do that, what would happen?
Well,
why?
We'd be getting tased somewhere in the basement of the state or federal capitol.
Okay.
We got arrested, man, for
nothing.
Watching some protesters in the Wisconsin state
capitol. But this is absolutely unacceptable. People, this is my point. You got a president who thinks he's above the law. You have these privileged Republicans thinking that they can go do this. If you and I did these things, we would be in a bit of trouble. I think we have the expectation that whatever justice would be thrown upon us will be due the Republicans who are literally, physically, willfully obstructing justice.
If I did a tenth of what she did, I would be in jail today.
Is Mike Flynn in jail yet?
Oh, he's got sentencing coming soon.
That's right.
The Mueller team's tried to keep him out of prison so far. The judge in that case questioned why he's not being prosecuted for, something approaching treason. By the way, Matt Gaetz, congressman, moronic congressman from Florida.
Mm-hmm.
That Florida man, one of his committee assignments, he's on the freaking Judiciary Committee.
Oh, he's on the Judiciary.
He can go in the impeachment proceedings, the hearings, anytime he wants. He's on the Judiciary Committee.
What a joke. What embarrassment. And the president knew.
What a maroon.
The president knew and condoned this behavior.
The obstruction of justice. The literal physical obstruction of justice.
Great idea. Let's do it.
I mean, you talk about throwing some sand in the cogs of justice. Oh, they're trying to gum up the works, all right. 844-967-2789. Our very patient callers. Mark from the SAC, welcome back. What do you got?
Well, number one, just a minor correction. I think it was Brett Kavanaugh that was in the Brooks Brothers protest. I think Matt Gaetz would have been too young to be. Yeah,
I was just thinking,
Brett,
moron
Gaetz,
from Florida.
It
was a bunch
of be there. I mean,
it was a bunch of interns, right?
Punks. Yeah, it was a bunch
of Republican ne'er-do-wells.
Punks. Yeah.
And guys like Scott Walker's kids, those sorts.
Right. But, it's ridiculous, this whole thing of presidential immunity. I mean, the president could be daily, picking a boy or a girl off the street, raping them, and then casting them out from the White House, and they'd be saying, oh, no problem.
Mark, actually, there are something like 200 accusations against this president for sexual assault. That example is a literal truth, sir.
Right. The literal truth, it just... I mean, he could murder a Supreme Court justice and appoint their replacement. I mean, that's what they're maintaining here was saying this stuff. It's utter and complete nonsense.
He could wipe out his entire political opposition. He could call for the murder of the entire Democratic establishment, and it could happen, and he would not be charged according to the legal pleadings of his attorneys.
It's ridiculous. I mean, if you want to go back to, there's no place in the Constitution that says the president is immune to the law. I mean, it doesn't say it in Article 1. It doesn't say it in Article 2, Article 3, Article 4, Article 6. There's no place in the Constitution.
You got to read between the lines. Between the lines, Mark.
It's a matter of interpretation. Thanks, Mark.
844-967-2789. More of our fair callers. Next one up is Pizza the Box. How you doing, Michael?
Trump-lomatic immunity.
It's been revoked.
Listen, we know
diplomatic immunity.
When you break into a hearing, you're on TV getting cuffed and dragged. I've been there.
Right, Mike, you know.
I knew as soon as I saw it was you when I saw the hat and no sleeves. Hey, thanks, But this is crazy. Hey, I knew I recognized Trump's lawyer's voice when I heard it. You know who that is? That's a union machinist from Wisconsin named Chris. Don't you get it?
No, I don't
when
get
Trump
it.
does
the guy on the promo.
Oh,
yeah. Sorry.
When Trump does it, it's not
he reminds me
racist.
Yeah, he
you listen to the station much more frequently than the GM does.
Well, hey, it is Dom's best clip, so you might as well keep playing it because it is funny. Every time I hear it, I don't even get out to get my coffee until I finish the promo.
He did prosecute the union machinist Chris from Milwaukee quite well. Sort of Kamala Harris-like in that clip.
If Betsy's still listening, Betsy, if you don't like North Korea, why don't you just go back to where you came from? And Paul,
oh, man.
Paul, I'm kidding. She knows I'm kidding.
I know. That's actually pretty good. North Korea, is that what you called it?
Right. Our flag is a vulture picking the bone piles in America. It's kind of cool.
Oh, man, that's brutal.
There's gas pumps everywhere and pipelines and then just like a bunch of bones with vultures flying over the top. So anyway, Paul, your question of what it's going to look like, they're going to send in the clowns just like they did today. Every one of them has like a little greasy spotted lip, too. You ever notice that? The sweaty lip guys, they send them in there. Was Jim Jordan with them?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Big
time.
Well, we need to call the UW and the athletic department and tell him to take down his two-time national champ wrestling, championship here in Wisconsin. We don't need him on the walls in Wisconsin. He's a clown.
Well,
I wish I was tough enough to take him down, but I know I'm not.
Certainly, we don't want any mention of Jim Jordan on Ohio State Week.
No.
Hey, listen, you know what else?
What's that, Mike?
Hey, if somebody were to, Trump can shoot anybody and get away with it, right? But if someone were to suggest the same thing towards him, would that be cool?
We'd have to cut you off the radio. We can't even talk about violence. Why would we? We don't condone such actions.
We're all about the love. But the actions I do condone is everybody getting pissed off that this is actually the president of the United States suggesting that he could do whatever he wants to you and your family and your friends, and you can do absolutely nothing about it.
And your daughters.
Your daughters and
or your
mothers.
sons, for that matter.
Your dogs, your pets. It's all good for this president. He can do whatever he wants. You cannot
He could
judge
do that
him.
to a horse, and you could even prosecute him under Andre Jack's felony bestiality law in the state of Wisconsin. No means no. Come back with us, some more Devil's Advocate. More mature talk just like you like it.
I think this situation absolutely requires a really futile and stupid gesture be done on somebody's part.
We're just the guys to do it.
What a dope. What a maroon.
Have fun storming the castle.
Tune in to Wisconsin's Political Talk on WRRD 1510 AM. Weekdays, hear the Earl Ingram Show from 6 to 9 a.m. Next, it's Stephanie Miller from 9 to 11. From 11 till 2, the Tom Hartman Program. At 2 o'clock, it's Matt Flynn Direct. From 3 to 6, the Devil's Advocates. And at 6, it's Busted Pencils, Brandy Grayson, and Maggie Dawn. Wisconsin's Political Talk. Listen online at newstalk1510am.com.
You concerned about speaking up at work? Do you feel like you have no say in your day-to-day work routine? Join Teamsters Local 344. Call 414-258-4545. Get a seat at the table. Join your brothers and sisters in negotiating for better wages, hours, and working conditions, and be part of the most powerful union in North America. Teamsters Local 344 covers sales and service throughout Southeast Wisconsin and package and airlines statewide. Contact Teamsters Local 344 at 414-258-4545 or at local344.org.
More power, more fight, the most heart. Gingras, Thompson & Walks is more than a law firm. We're family. We believe in doing our best to help people in need and right the wrong that's occurred. For more than 35 years, we've helped thousands of clients across the state of Wisconsin get the justice they deserve. Our proven track record of success isn't based solely on our knowledge of the judicial system. Rather, we make it our priority to get to know our clients and their cases so we can best represent them. Gingras, Thompson & Walks. Find us online at gtwlawyers.com.
I don't see the support. I don't support it.
Wisconsin Senate Majority Leader Scott Fitzgerald doesn't see the support for legalized medicinal marijuana, even though the 2018 midterm referendum in 11 counties and the city of Waukesha passed by over 79%. Call Scott Fitzgerald at 608-266-5660. Tell him you support legalized medicinal marijuana.
No, I don't see it.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
When they go low, we get high. Dom and Krutz are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back from the 420 break. Thank you so much for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Greatest radio show ever. You can be part of it at 844-967-2789.
Dominic, find myself unexpectedly in the Brady Street studios today, but I'll be hustling my arse back to Madison because we've got the informational meeting tonight, 7 o'clock at Expedia Cruise Ship Centers of Madison. Google it. It's off Mineral Point Road. I'll be showing up, a few minutes after the hour, but I'll be there, and we will answer all your questions because we're going on an adventure, and you're absolutely going to want to go with. It'll be much cooler than any Scott Walker cruise could ever conceive of being.
Of course. In the meantime, Crudy Gates at the gates. He wasn't alone. He had a cadre with him. Scalise was there as well. Let's start with him. Cut number 60, Brian.
What is Adam Schiff trying to hide? I think that's a question so many people have, so many of my colleagues have, so many people in the press should have, is through those hidden closed doors over there, Adam Schiff is trying to impeach a president of the United States.
Now, if the doors are hidden, how do you know they're closed?
I'm just other than his asinine use of vocabulary, Dom, could literally, according to Scalise, could the president be impeached behind closed doors? The answer is no.
Well, of course, they got to take a vote on the floor. No, of course not. This is the investigation portion because, again, the DOJ declined to investigate. The Republicans, they all say, no, we don't need to investigate. Well, apparently there is some investigation going on, and you don't get to be part of the investigation if you're not a Republican on the committee.
I want the ability to cross-examine people at the grand jury.
Yes.
And if I don't like, not being admitted to the grand jury, of course they do this so witnesses may not coordinate their testimony.
Oh, that's a good idea.
You mean coordination of testimony?
Well, if you're guilty, yes.
It works almost as well as coordinating with foreign powers to try and win a U.S. domestic election.
Oh, damn. Scalise cut 61, please, Brian.
Behind closed doors, literally trying to overturn the results of the 2016 election a year before Americans get to go to the polls to decide who's going to be the president. And frankly, it should be the people of this country who decide who's going to be the president, not Nancy Pelosi and not Adam Schiff.
Well, unfortunately, Mr. Scalise, if the president engaged in high crimes and misdemeanors and impeachable offenses, certainly he did. I guess, the people's representatives in Congress, will make that determination, whether or not he continues, at least whether or not the impeachment articles will be attached to him.
Why didn't the Republicans charge the Mound during the Mueller testimony? Why only the day after apparently the most damning, the gasp-inducing testimony of Bill Taylor yesterday?
The quid pro quo testimony?
Yeah, that one.
The yes, we did it testimony? The yes, that everything is hinging on whether or not we can get the President Zelensky of Ukraine in a box to do what we want testimony?
Publicly, on a microphone.
Right, that testimony. Mark Walker, also a Republican, he was there, cut 62.
House Democrats are bypassing constitutional norms and basic standards of due process with their impeachment obsession.
Not really.
No.
It has been said, but bears repeating. The president is not above justice, but as you know, neither is he below it.
Well, literally, they went to court today and claimed the president is above the law. That was Trump's legal pleading. Today, sir!
Cut 63.
Facing your accusers, the ability to call rebuttal witnesses, cross-examination, the right to object evidence, and ability to attend hearings, depositions, and interviews. These are basic standards that every American should expect, including the President of the United States.
Well, when you get to the trial, you'll get all of those things. And I heard something weird in the background. It sounded like someone was clearing a tube.
Let's jump ahead to cup number 68, the aforementioned Jim Jordan.
It's finally reached a boiling point where members just said they are so frustrated at the idea that they can't be a part of this and see what's going on. And so we're at a standstill here.
You could have a conversation with your fellow Republicans that are able to get into the room, Jim, but,
guys like Matt Gaetz, who sits on the Judiciary Committee.
Ted Lieu, a Democrat, responding after the party was crashed, cut number 69.
Bill Taylor gave a devastating opening statement yesterday. They're freaked out. They're trying to stop this investigation.
Yes.
They don't want to hear from witness Cooper today. They know more facts are going to be delivered that are absolutely damning to the President of the United States.
Probably.
You know what's going to happen. Yes. And this was not something that was organic today. This wasn't something that they reached.
No, it was condoned by the president. He had
planned ahead of time.
Well, I bet they started planning it yesterday, right after Bill Taylor said, yes, quid pro quo. Yes, quid pro quo.
And bringing your phones into a sensitive, compartmented information facility, the SCIF, I don't think that's supposed to be allowed either. I'm wondering what consequence Censure?
Impeachment, perhaps, for each and every member that charged the Mound, the horde of clueless white Republican men.
Wow.
Come back with us. We are the Devil's Advocates. Going back to the phones next at 844-967-2789.
My people are so smart. And you know what else they say about my people? The polls. They say, I have the most loyal people. Did you ever see that? Where I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and I wouldn't lose any voters, okay? It's incredible.
Freak out.
Want to be more presidential? Tweet the Devil's Advocates at Devil Radio.
Just a bit outside.
To protect her home and family in a disaster, Karen was willing to wade through water, mud, and insurance paperwork.
Yeah, I can do this.
You go, Karen! By simply understanding and updating what her insurance covers and doesn't cover now, she'll be better prepared no matter when disaster strikes. Learn other simple ways to protect your home and family before a natural disaster at ready.gov. That's ready.gov. A message from FEMA and the Ad Council.
Once again, the American public has some reading to do. In a 29-page indictment today, Americans need to take a look at page 6, paragraph 20, and here come those important 8 words: to interfere with the 2016 U.S. presidential election. That is it.
Jim, I'm going to make a confession on behalf of the panel. Dom's not going to read the indictments.
Come on, maybe.
The Devil's Advocates. Political commentary from the back of the class.
You are listening to WRRD 1510 AM, Waukesha, Milwaukee. Always streaming at newstalk1510am.com.
Tune in to Wisconsin's Political Talk on WRRD 1510 AM. Weekdays, hear the Earl Ingram Show from 6 to 9 a.m. Next, it's Stephanie Miller from 9 to 11. From 11 till 2, the Tom Hartman Program. At 2 o'clock, it's Matt Flynn Direct. From 3 to 6, the Devil's Advocates. And at 6, it's Busted Pencils, Brandy Grayson, and Maggie Dawn. Wisconsin's Political Talk. Listen online at newstalk1510am.com.
The Devil's Advocates are going on an adventure, and we want you to join us. Our friends at Expedia Cruise Ship Centers of Madison will be hosting an informational session on October 23rd at 7 p.m. to share all the details about our inaugural Devil's Advocates Mexican cruise. Join Crudy October 23rd at 7 p.m. and get all the details.
Expedia Cruise Ship Centers of Madison. Expedia Prices, local service. Visit them on Madison's west side off Mineral Point Road or Google Expedia Cruise Ship Centers of Madison. Ask about the Devil's Advocates special.
Madison Liquidators has officially moved into a bigger, nicer showroom off Pleasant View Road in Middleton, and they are proud to announce they have expanded to provide educational and healthcare institutional furnishings. They have great new offerings of quality new office furnishings from industry leaders like Groupe Lacoste and Via Seating, and you can see the expanded and extensive inventory of used furniture online at MadisonLiquidators.com, or you can call Kelly and have her help you make a plan for your new space. Start today at MadisonLiquidators.com and tell them you heard them on Talk 92.7 FM.
Free and equal education is and has always been a cornerstone to this nation. Yet our public school systems, once the envy of the world, has never faced more scrutiny than right now. Caught between political bickering and big business cash grabs, our schools are under attack, and the people that stand to lose the most are our children. Join Dr. Tim Slecker for Busted Pencils Radio. Educated educators talking education. Tuesday nights at 7, right here on WRRD 1510 AM, Milwaukee.
For WRRD and WTTN, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. Wisconsin Senate Majority Leader Scott Fitzgerald criticized Donald Trump yesterday for calling the impeachment process a lynching. However, the Republican also said he considers the impeachment inquiry a political witch hunt. Fitzgerald is running for Congress to replace Jim Sensenbrenner, who is not seeking re-election. And it could take 10 years for areas of northern Wisconsin to recover from a violent windstorm in July that leveled hundreds of thousands of trees. Massive downdrafts, known as macro bursts, devastated forest areas in Oconto and Langlade counties. Forecast for Milwaukee and Madison. Tonight, rain likely, lows in the upper 30s. Tomorrow, mostly sunny with highs in the upper 40s. You're listening to WRRD and WTTN.
Bring it? Oh, it's already been brought in. Dom and Krutz are the Devil's Advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Going back to the phones momentarily. Dom, I don't know if you know, though, that Kevin McCarthy, you know, the brilliant minority leader over in the House for the Republicans, as the headline said, the Republican leader accidentally confesses to Trump's quid pro quo with Ukraine. What would Rick Perry say? Oops.
Oops.
Sarah Burris reporting at the Raw Story. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy seemed to accidentally confess that there was a quid pro quo between President Donald Trump and Ukraine when he spoke to CNN reporter Manny Raju. Raju asked McCarthy about Ukraine Ambassador Bill Taylor's testimony that Trump delayed all Ukrainian military aid until President Zelensky announced he would do a probe into former Vice President Joe Biden. Let me read a little further. A quote from McCarthy. There was no quid pro quo. It is not, and no one has ever said in there, it is a quid pro quo, insisted McCarthy. But in his next comment, McCarthy seemed to indicate he was confused what the quid pro quo actually means in this situation and who was responsible for it. Quid pro quo meaning that somebody exchanged something for something else to happen, he said. Name me one thing that Ukraine did to release the money. Nothing. So this is their newest defense. I heard Rush use it earlier today. They must have put out talking points from the White House, Tom. Well, you can't have a quid pro quo because the money was released and Zelensky never went out and publicly said, we've started an investigation into Joe Biden. This was the requested quid pro quo, right? I would point out the timing. We did corner Ron Johnson on this as well.
Well, he was wrong on the dates.
Well, he was lying about the circumstance. He said, Trump released the money before this came to light on September 11th. And I pointed out, Adam Schiff made it public that there was a whistleblower complaint on September 10th. So keep that in mind. I read on. The requirement that Ukraine do something to release the money is the quid pro quo. Ukraine refusing to comply with the quid pro quo doesn't mean that there wasn't a quid pro quo from Trump. In fact, McCarthy just confessed that Trump was holding the money back until Ukraine did something to release the money. They're brilliant, these guys.
844-967-2789. I just have a few paragraphs as well. Breaking news. This is how it is today, folks.
Oh, it broke again?
From the
Who broke
AP.
the news?
From the AP, Ukrainian leader felt Trump pressure before taking office. And
Trump was pressuring the former Ukrainian president before he pressured this Ukrainian president.
More than 2 months before the phone call that launched the impeachment inquiry into President Donald Trump, Ukraine's newly elected leader was already worried about pressure from the U.S. president to investigate his Democratic rival, Joe Biden. Zelensky gathered a small group of advisors on May 7th in Kiev for a meeting that was supposed to be about his nation's energy needs. Instead, the group spent most of the 3-hour discussion talking about how to navigate the insistence from Trump and his personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, for a probe and how to avoid becoming entangled in the American elections. According to 3 people familiar with the details of the meeting, they spoke to the AP on the condition of anonymity because of the diplomatic sensitivity of the issue, which has roiled U.S.-Ukrainian relations.
Hasn't one of Trump's defenses been that the Ukrainian President Zelensky said he felt no pressure?
No, that's exactly what one of the many now debunked and failed defenses.
844-967-2789. Finally getting back to the phones. Neil from Madison, you're next. Welcome, Neil.
First, I very much enjoy your show, so thank you for bringing the liberal
thank
talk
you, Neil. You have excellent taste, Neil.
All right. 2 things. One, Getz tried to get in the meetings last week, and Schiff shut him out and said, no, you're not a member here. You do not belong here. You don't have clearance to be in here.
No,
in that same meeting room.
He is on the Judiciary Committee. And we've seen Matt Gaetz question witnesses before the Judiciary Committee. That would be one of the eligible committees. I'm not clear why Matt Gaetz is not allowed in.
He was not allowed in this committee. He's not a part of it.
It's the Intelligence Committee, right? Schiff's committee is the Intelligence Committee. He's on the Judiciary Committee.
Yes, and so he's not allowed in that meeting for the sensitive hearings because they know he's just the eyes and ears for Trump. That's all that part is.
Right.
But there's a more important part. In some ways, I think we ought to add a geography thing to the intelligence chest on the president because today he said we're building a wall in Colorado.
What?
That's news to me, sir. Where'd you see that one?
Here on Raw Story, here's the quote. We know why we're going to win New Mexico because they want safety on their border, and they didn't have it. And we're building a wall on the border of New Mexico, and we're building a wall in Colorado. Now, does that mean if I go to Denver, I need a passport? But they're not building one in Kansas, he said.
Wow.
Who
I'm sorry, but who was saying that, Neil? Was that the president or one of the congressmen?
His quote. No, his quote today.
His quote today, and I see it. Thank you, Neil. The Denver Post is reporting. Neil, breaking the news. President Donald Trump said Wednesday his administration is building a wall in Colorado. Apparent misstatement that was immediately met with jeers online. Do you know? And he just said it. Do you know why we're going to win New Mexico? Because they want safety on their border, and they didn't have it. We're going to build a wall on the border of New Mexico, and we're building a wall in Colorado. We're building a beautiful wall, a big one that really works, and that you can't get over, you can't get under. As the crowd rose to its feet in support. And we're building a wall in Texas, and we're not building a wall in Kansas, but they get the benefit of the walls we just mentioned. Thank you, Neil. Way to be on top of it. Building a wall.
We got the smartest kids in class listening right now. 844-967-2789. Next up, Joe from Madison. Joe, welcome.
Gosh, you guys must feel like you're on a tilt-a-whirl these days, mildly ill as you try to keep up with everything that's happening. I just wanted to respond back to the issue of the whole issue of bringing in the phones into the SCIF facility, and you had used the title, and I think it's really important, the way that the exact title for that SCIF is Sensitive Compartmented Information Facility. And it's way down in the basement. And it's down in there for the reason that they don't want, it's important that this stuff be kept secure. Yeah. And so when these yahoos went in there without any regard for putting their phones into the containers that exist outside the room so you don't muck up the security, I mean, this is a problem. And there's a woman who has been quoted on a couple of online sites. She used to do security in these places, and she said, and I thought this is really interesting, she said, after an incident like this happens, countermeasures have to be taken to ensure that the SCIF is not compromised. It is time-consuming and a technical process. And it's just, even Lindsey Graham, Mr. Trump's biggest fan, said that this was nuts. This was no way to storm the SCIF, was no way to make your point. And the next question is, well, what happens from this? That stupid should have a cost to it, and the cost should be, they've said this is a potential felony. If you were in the military, this would be dishonorable discharge. At minimum, these people need to give up their phones because they don't know if these phones had malware on it. And then what goes out from that? Yeah. What were they able, can they record audio, video, photos? They don't know. And
Matt
we don't
Gaetz tweeted from the SCIF. Blamed it on staff, but apparently he tweeted from inside the SCIF room.
And if you're that stupid that you can't understand that sensitive means sensitive, you shouldn't be in the room. And this needs to come down with a heavy hand. And if it's not the Dems, it needs to be the House parliamentarian or somebody that says, no go on this. If you aren't cleared to go in the room, you aren't cleared to go in the room. And particularly because this is going to cost us money and time to fix their little stunt. And we don't have time for this. We don't have money for this. And yet here we are having to, open the wallets again because they want to make their little play act here. So that's my 2 cents. Thanks for everything you do, guys, and watch out for the tilt-a-whirl.
Thank you, Joe. Great points. All we do appreciate
I need some Dramamine. Let's build that wall in Colorado, Fancy Brian.
New Mexico, which I think we're going to win. You know why we're going to win New Mexico? Because they want safety on their border. And they didn't have it. And we're building a wall on the border of New Mexico, and we're building a wall in Colorado. We're building a beautiful wall, a big one that really works, that you can't get over, you can't get under.
A wall you can't
And we're
get
building a
over
wall in
or
Texas.
Wow.
At least he threw Texas in there for good measure.
Colorado.
He did not know it wasn't a border state. Not the brightest of presidents. Also for Joe, and we're going to get back to the phones momentarily, 844-967-2789. Joe and others, please take heart in this fact. That testimony, the Cooper testimony, it's begun anew. It was basically a 5-hour rain delay precipitated by a bunch of moronic Republican congresspeople charging the SCIF, charging the mound, bringing cameras, tweeting from inside the room, and of course, under entirely false pretense, lack of due process.
Republicans should be in the room, and of course, Republicans are in the room. This, of course, is just for the news. This is for an audience of one, Donald Trump. He wants to see this. He endorsed this. Yes, he condoned it according to Bloomberg.
Prior to the action.
Yes, not afterwards. Prior. Great point. But again, this just goes to show you how the Republicans are throwing everything that they can at this. And if this is their big move, okay, 5-hour delay. Now they're going to get some repercussions for that because they're putting this country in danger. There's a reason why those SCIFs do not allow phones in there, as Joe mentioned.
We talked about the Republicans charging the mound. Here's what the Post is reporting at this hour. The disruption delayed closed-door testimony from Laura Cooper, the Pentagon official who oversees Ukraine policy, who lawmakers plan to ask about White House's decision to withhold military aid for several months over the summer. Earlier Wednesday, President Trump lashed out anew at terrible Democrats a day after damaging testimony from a key diplomat. That was Bill Taylor. Billy.
Oh, Billy.
844-967-2789. Back to the phones. We will go. Dick out in the garage. Welcome back, Dick. What do you got for us?
I think we're all missing it. I finally figured it out. First of all, I think they're operating from the Twilight Zone, the whole party. But this is a learning thing. This is how you teach your small children. I don't have any anymore. My youngest is 25. But see, when your kid's growing up and he does something that could be actually something really bad and he's breaking the law, well, no, you can't do that, Johnny. Not until you become president.
Right.
Well, at least he gives them something to strive for.
To aspire to. You get to be, once you get to be president, you can do that. And just about damn near anything else you want to do. This party of family values, here's a value that they're teaching us. Right?
Yes. That's exactly what they're teaching us.
Republican, they are the party of family values, don't you know?
Oh, yeah. And especially with the guy they've got in office right now. I mean,
Yeah, 5 kids by 3 baby mamas. He's a hell of a family man, Dick.
Oh, you better believe it. No, I really think that must be what it is. And Jordan, I think that guy, might have had just a few too many, what are they, full Nelsons put on him at one time or another. And
a few too many sleeper holds?
Yeah, the sleeper.
Somebody choked his ass out one too many times. Dick, sorry to choke your ass out, man. We'll come back. More phone calls next. We are the Devil's Advocates. I'm going full sleeper on your ass during the commercial break. 844-967-2789.
I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody, and I wouldn't lose any voters, okay?
You're here because you got nothing. You got nothing in court. You don't got the bookkeeper. You got nothing. Nothing. And if you were a man, you would have done it now. You don't got a thing, you punk. We're building a wall in Colorado.
I'm State Representative Jimmy Anderson. Like me, 25% of American adults have a disability, yet vote at a rate almost 5% lower than the general public. If voters with disabilities turned out at the same rate, that would be over 2 million more votes nationwide. Your vote is your voice, so be heard. Elected officials make decisions on issues you care about, from transportation to Medicaid, but they won't hear your voice if you don't get to the polls. To learn more, call 844-347-8683 or go to disabilityvote.org.
This message brought to you in part by the Wisconsin Disability Vote Coalition.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern.
Listen to the Devil's Advocates live weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m.
Go back to where they came from, help those people come back and show us how to do it. That was the full quote.
They didn't come from anywhere. They were here, dude. Are you employed, Chris?
I am.
Do you have an HR department?
Yes, I do. I'm a union machinist.
Oh, do you work with minorities?
I do.
If you walked up to one of your coworkers who was a minority, you told them to go back to where they came from, would HR have a conversation with you about that, do you think?
It depends on the person, really. I mean, some people are...
If somebody complained to HR about what you said, do you think they would have a conversation with you about that? Okay.
Absolutely.
But why? Why would they pull you off of your job to discuss this with you, and what do you think their beef would be?
Because they're trying to protect the corporation from lawsuits.
Lawsuit for what?
Discrimination, racism.
So if your coworkers, if you say it to your coworker, it could be described as discrimination or racism. But when the president says it to the world, it's not racist?
No. Yikes.
I'd like to play a little tune for you. It's one of my personal favorites. And I'd like to dedicate it to a young man who doesn't think he's seen anything good today.
The Devil's Advocates. Making radio great again!
Exclamation point.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. If you miss any of this fine program, please go online, domrecruit.com. You can listen to and download podcasts, and interviews. Charles Franklin coming up at the top of the happy hour at 5 o'clock. In the meantime, we'll take some more of your calls at 844-967-2789.
Wisconsinite sentiment on impeachment. That was before today when they said the president is above the law. And then the Republican congressman, with the president's prior condonement, they charged the mound. They charged the skiff. They charged a hearing. Idiotic. 844-967-2789. And old pal Jeannie from Eau Claire. Welcome back, Jeannie. What do you got for us?
Hi, guys.
Hey, Jean.
Hey, Jeannie.
I am a little bit more nasty about this whole thing because I think it's obstruction of justice.
Yes, absolutely.
And simple. And they all need to spend some time in the clink because, what message are they sending to the witnesses or potential witness blowers that we're Trump's army and we're going to take you out if you tell anything? And I just think that it's just a travesty, and I think their behaviors are abominable. I really do. I think they should all spend some time in jail, every darn one of them, because they know better than this. They know they're not supposed to do this type of behavior. It's unbelievable. I can't believe it. Right in our face, like they're sending us the big middle finger.
They
everybody
absolutely
in our
are.
Trolling the libs, Jeannie. Trolling the libs.
No, and independents and Greens and any other people in our country.
And like 6 to 10% of reasonable Republicans.
You guys have a good one.
Thank you, Jeannie. You too. Appreciate it.
Well, perhaps you'll be encouraged by this one, Jeannie. More breaking news at thehill.com. The chairman of the House Homeland Security Committee on Wednesday asked the top congressional law enforcement official to take action in response to GOP lawmakers bringing electronic devices to a secure facility while disrupting the deposition of a witness at the impeachment inquiry. In a letter to the Sergeant of Arms, Paul Irving, Homeland Security Chairman Benny Thompson said that the Republicans' decision to bring cell phones into the room, known as a sensitive, compartmented information facility, a SCIF, violated security protocols established by the intelligence community to protect classified information. Here's what Thompson wrote. The unprecedented breach of security raises serious concerns for committee chairman, including me, for responsible for maintaining SCIFs. Thompson asked Irving to make unspecified moves to make the security protocol clear to all House members. How about by throwing their ass in jail overnight?
Yeah, put them in the drunk tank for a couple of days.
One more quote. As such, I am requesting that you take action with respect to members involved in the breach. More broadly, I urge you to take House-wide action to remind all members about the dangers of such reckless action and the potential national security risks of such behavior. National security, national submerity.
Yeah, well, at least they're not talking about Bill Taylor right now.
Was Devin Nunes a part of all this?
I don't know.
How about his cow? Was Devin Nunes' cow a part? 844-967-2789. Going back to the land of the Viking, another Mount Horbian. Ken, welcome.
Hey, thanks for letting me call.
Yeah, man.
Well, I think that we need to do something about this security breach, and I think an appropriate thing to do would be to confiscate all electronics that were brought into that skiff and meticulously search them for any kind of malware or possibly classified information, pictures and things that were taken there. Might take a week or two, but I really think that...
Well, I think that's a great idea, Ken. I think also, since we know that this is a conspiracy, we know it was planned beforehand, we know, according to Bloomberg, that the president himself gave approval for this. I'd be curious to know if, once we get confiscate those devices and check them for the malware and make sure that they're safe, that while we have it, we might as well do a little investigation into the communications that occurred in order to make this, I'm going to say illegal act, but act that broke protocol, unethical act. I'd really like to know how that went down.
That's a very good point. These are at least as bad as Hillary's emails.
At least.
Thanks a lot.
All right. Thanks for the call, Ken.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah, bye.
844-967-2789. Mount Horeb is listening today.
Representing.
One more quick one, and then back to the phones. 844-967-2789. Lindsey Graham walks back "that's nuts" comment.
Oh, it's not?
On GOP congressman storming the impeachment hearing. No, Don, because now we know that Trump gave prior condolence.
Oh, I get it.
He's afraid of Trump. Senator Lindsey Graham walked back his earlier comments that called out a group of House Republicans for storming into a closed-door deposition that is part of the ongoing impeachment inquiry into Trump. Graham tweeted a correction saying that when he told reporters "that's nuts" in response to his fellow Republican lawmakers' actions, he had been misinformed on the nature of the disruption. Oh, it's a all good sort of disruption?
Oh, okay. It's all good now.
I was initially told House GOP took the skiff by force, basically like a GOP version of Occupy Wall Street, Graham tweeted. Apparently, it was a peaceful protest. Big difference. I understand their frustrations, and they have good reason to be upset.
By force? Whatever.
So what? They weren't packing heat? 844-967-2789. They didn't bring their bazookas? Chris from Milwaukee, what do you got for us?
Oh, my ears are burning.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, is that you in the promo, man? Are you a union machinist,
Dude.
Chris?
No more. They laid me off because the company's got to try to save itself.
Oh,
And,
I'm sorry to hear that. In all sincerity, Chris.
Well, listen, regardless of how good I was or anything, they just said it because I was only there a year. I was out the door.
How many of your co-workers are also leaving, Chris, if you know?
12.
And how big a shop was it, man?
It's about 60 people.
So they've laid off about 20% of their workforce. Again, I'm
Right.
sorry to hear that, sir.
Well, you know what? Thanks to the Trump economy, within 2 weeks, I found another job making 60 cents an hour more.
There you go.
Excellent news for you and your family, Chris.
So I just wanted to let you guys know.
Well, Chris,
You
sorry
didn't-
for
you
your
didn't know
troubles.
more.
Now, did you have to go pee in a cup to garner unemployment insurance under the state plan instituted by your buddy Scott Walker?
No, and I don't agree with that. And I had to pee to get a union job, and I went 70 days, and I still wasn't clean.
Oh.
So I had to fake it. I had to fake the piss test. I had to bring my buddy's piss into the thing.
You're not supposed to confess. You're sounded very Trump-like in this regard, Chris. Hey, you know,
there was no quid pro quo.
Here's one thing I would say about you, Chris. The fact that you smoke weed, man, you can't be all bad. Not like I thought before. Hey, Chris, thanks for listening today, man. Good luck at the new job.
All right, thanks.
All right, thanks, man. And good luck when they do the spot drug test on you. We can't help you out with that.
I hope your boss is listening. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates. A fine guest. Call it in. Charles Franklin, pollster extraordinaire, new Marquette University Law School polling has dropped the question of impeachment front and center.
We're going to go and see if we can get inside. So,
would that be obstruction? Yes.
You concerned about speaking up at work? Do you feel like you have no say in your day-to-day work routine? Join Teamsters Local 344. Call 414-258-4545. Get a seat at the table. Join your brothers and sisters in negotiating for better wages, hours, and working conditions, and be part of the most powerful union in North America. Teamsters Local 344 covers sales and service throughout Southeast Wisconsin and package and airlines statewide. Contact Teamsters Local 344 at 414-258-4545 or at local344.org.
Eric Holder, he's the former U.S. Attorney General and current chair of the National Democratic Redistricting Committee.
The notion that Scott Walker is saying that we are doing something to push partisan gerrymandering, that is the pot calling the kettle total black. I mean, that's absurd. He is one of the architects of among the most gerrymandered states in the union. All we're pushing for is a fair process come 2021.
Listen to the Devil's Advocates live weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m.
You are listening to WRRD 1510 AM, Waukesha, Milwaukee. Always streaming at newstalk1510am.com.
Storming staged, scum unpresidential. I'm Barbara Cusack. Storming a closed-door deposition with a Defense Department official, Republicans delayed the impeachment hearing for about 5 hours. Correspondent Boris Sanchez reports it was staged.
A source tells CNN that not only was the stunt pre-planned, but President Trump was given a heads up. A source revealing that some of the Republican members who stormed Laura Cooper's deposition appeared at the White House Tuesday night.
President Trump went a step beyond what he's called some of his critics, as he's referred to them as do-nothing Democrats. Today, Trump called never-Trumper Republicans human scum. GOP Congressman Adam Kinzinger says that's not presidential.
To call anybody human scum is beneath the office of the presidency. You can't say that.
President Trump says sanctions will be lifted on Turkey as it's agreed to permanently stop fighting Kurdish forces in Syria. Trump again defended his decision to withdraw U.S. forces.
It was supposed to be a very quick hit, and let's get out. And it was a quick hit, except they stayed for almost 10 years. Let someone else fight over this long, blood-stained sand.
Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg went before Congress today to answer questions about his plans for a cryptocurrency, Libra. More on that from correspondent Jim Roop.
Zuckerberg says it's not new money. It will be backed by a basket of currencies around the world, but could not say exactly how the value is assessed and guaranteed. Many members also chided the CEO on the lack of diversity in the company, hate speech on the platform, and housing discrimination.
Virgin Group founder Richard Branson says Brexit is the saddest thing that's happened to Britain and Europe since World War II. Speaking in Israel, Branson said British voters were misled before the 2016 referendum and, if given another chance, would vote to stay in the European Union. I'm Barbara Cusack.
Dom, the Devil's Advocates are going on an adventure.
Join Crute and I for our inaugural 420-2020 cruise from our friends at Expedia Cruise Ship Centers of Madison. We begin in the City of Angels with the Devil's Advocates reception on April 17th, departing the next day for a 7-night cruise with stops in Cabo San Lucas, Mazatlan, and Puerto Vallarta, Mexico on board a shiny new Carnival Panorama cruise ship.
Expedia prices local service. Visit them on Madison's west side off Mineral Point Road or Google Expedia Cruise Ship Centers.
Hi, I'm Kelly, and my family owns Madison Liquidators. We've officially moved into our new space off Pleasant View Road in Middleton, and we're excited to announce that Madison Liquidators is now Dane County's premier dealer for Groupe Lacoste. In addition to their unbeatable 25-year warranty, Groupe Lacoste has 10 lines to choose from, ranging from traditional to ultra-modern, all available in 18 different finishes. Give me a call and let's make a plan for your space, or go online to madisonliquidators.com and shop our complete inventory of used office furniture.
Google says they've made a breakthrough in quantum computing.
The company said an experimental quantum processor has finished a calculation in just a few minutes that would otherwise take a traditional supercomputer thousands of years to complete. Some are pushing back on Google's claims, however, with IBM saying that the calculation in question would not have taken thousands of years. Instead, it only takes a couple of days for most supercomputers to finish. Experts say the next step is to test it on a useful application, which could include things like the hunt for new drugs or the optimization of city and transportation planning. I'm John Stolness.
Rapper Chuck D is this year's winner of the Woody Guthrie Prize, an award that recognizes artists who speak out for the less fortunate. Chuck D was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2013 as part of the groundbreaking hip-hop group Public Enemy. He'll be honored at a ceremony in Tulsa on November 16th. I'm Barbara Cusack.
To protect his family from disaster, Steve used his camera phone. Done. By taking pictures of his important documents, Steve can always have them stored online. Learn more simple disaster prep tips at ready.gov. A message from FEMA and the Ad Council. To protect his family from disaster, Steve used his camera phone. Done. By taking pictures of his important documents, Steve can always have them stored online. Learn more simple disaster prep tips at ready.gov. A message from FEMA and the Ad Council.
Democratic National Committee Chairman Tom Perez, I got to ask you, in what percentage did the fact that Real Resistance Radio, WRD 1510, the fact that you can come after bar with us on Brady Street, Tom, how much did that factor into the site selection of Milwaukee, sir?
There's that old saying, what's good for General Motors is good for America. What's good for Resistance Radio is good for Wisconsin and good for America. So it was huge.
Listen to the Devil's Advocates live weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m.
For WRRD and WTTN, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. The Milwaukee Police Department is giving away free gun locks to anyone who wants one. The locks are now available at all 7 district police stations. If you missed the Elton John concert on Saturday night, you have another chance to catch the legendary rocker. Elton is bringing his Goodbye Yellow Brick Road tour back to Fiserv Forum on April 28th. Tickets go on sale November 1st. And the Milwaukee Bucks start their regular season tomorrow night against the Rockets in Houston. That will be a nationally televised game on the TNT cable network. Forecast for Milwaukee and Madison tonight, rain likely, lows in the upper 30s. Tomorrow, mostly sunny with highs in the upper 40s. You're listening to WRRD and WTTN, Wisconsin's political talk.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves' corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dominic, we are sliding into the 5 o'clock happy hour, and I'm happy to announce new Marquette University Law School polling.
Yeah.
And our fine guest, Charles Franklin, he is the director extraordinaire of the Marquette University Law School poll. We welcome him back, as is our custom. Charles, we almost missed this one.
Hey, Charles.
Well, how could we do that? That was a terrible oversight on my part not to get in touch with you guys.
Yeah, don't you know it's time to schedule yourself on the Devil's Advocate, sir? Well, we appreciate the fact you came on short notice, apparently. Let's jump into the important parts of the poll. What I perceive is perhaps the most important part. Let's talk about the Democratic horse race, Charles. Who is leading the state of Wisconsin amongst Democratic voters and Dem leaners?
Sure. Well, that would be Joe Biden at 31% this time. But there's been a reversal in second and third place. Elizabeth Warren's at 24. That's up from 17 last time and puts her in second place compared to third. And that means that Bernie Sanders has slipped a little bit from 20% last time to 17 this time. So the same top three, but the order of 2 and 3 has changed a little bit, with Biden still in first place. And then there's quite a drop-off to Pete Buttigieg at 7. He was at 6 last time. And Kamala Harris at 5. She was at 3 last time. So that top 5 is the same as before. This time we have Klobuchar at 3%. She was at 1 last time, and Yang at 3. He was at 2 last time. Everybody else is at 2% or less.
Now, Charles, we've heard the criterion for qualifying for the national debate stage includes 2% in a national poll and 5% in a state poll. I thought it was early state polls, but as you read the tea leaves, Charles, does this poll affect any of the candidates and their eligibility for the debate stage in November?
Not that I'm aware of. If anybody is using the Marquette poll, they have not contacted me about that. And to tell you the honest truth, I've deliberately not paid much attention to those rules about who or how you get into a debate.
Yeah, that's what Dom claims as well, Charles. Let's talk about the head-to-head matchups, Charles. Donald Trump, obviously the representative on behalf of the Republicans. At least you got to assume logically will be for polling's sake.
But, Charles, I do have to ask, obviously there are other Republicans running. Did you poll on any of the Republican presidential candidates?
No, we have not done that. The few organizations that have done it nationally find pretty much what you would expect. Trump in the mid to upper 80% range with the Republicans.
Okay.
And the three challengers within the party all polling in the low single digits. If that race were to start to move, and there was evidence that, it was shifting, we'd certainly put them on in a question. But it's just such a minimal race at this point. It doesn't seem like it proves very much. Certainly not beyond the 85 to 90% approval rating that Trump continues to receive among Republicans in the state.
Charles, as part of my copious preparation for this interview, we looked at the polling numbers head-to-head, the Democratic frontrunners, talking about Biden, Warren, and Bernie. Yeah. How do they do head-to-head against Donald Trump?
Well, Biden has a 6-point lead, 50 to 44. That's a shade down from last time when it was 51-42 in August, but still a lead. Sanders is at 48 to 46 for Trump, 2-point margin. It was a 4-point last time. Warren's 47 to Trump 46, 1 point. That's up from a dead tie last time. Obviously, 2 points and 1 point is well within the margin of error. And then finally, we did ask about Pete Buttigieg this time. We had not asked before. He's at 43, Trump at 45, so down by 2, but also inside the margin of error.
Folks, you are listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. That is the voice of Charles Franklin. He's the director of the Marquette University Law School poll, and he joins us on the phone. All right, Charles, impeachment, big topic. We talk about it almost daily. What is the state of Wisconsin saying about the House efforts to investigate and impeach?
Really? You guys are watching impeachment? I thought you'd be doing other things.
It's kind of on the top.
Yeah. Well, and I think the numbers actually, to be serious about it for a second, point this out. 46% now say there's reason enough to have impeachment hearings, but 49% aren't convinced and say there's not enough reason. So just by a 3-point margin, more people saying no hearings rather than hearings. The big but, though, is that when we asked this question in April, only 29% thought there was a good reason to hold hearings. So that's a 17-point change in the percent saying hearings are now justified. And I think that is really the clearest evidence that the information and the testimony that we're seeing now have really moved the public in a way that the Mueller investigation didn't. Even before Mueller was over, we didn't see more than 33% in January saying that impeachment hearings were justified, and 59% said no. So that is quite a change, whether it's January or April. There's been a sea change in opinion about this. It'll also be critical to watch it over the next month to see if the hearings, as they are now actually proceeding, start to change people's minds. We also asked whether Trump should be impeached and removed from office. Support there is just a little less, 44 in favor of impeachment and removal, 51% opposed. That also is a number that we'll obviously be watching as things develop.
Charles, just for the sake of timing, I assume you asked this question, starting about Thursday, ending approximately Sunday, so before the yes quid pro quo testimony of Bill Taylor and before the president's team asserted today that the man is above the law. Charles, I wish you had the opportunity to ask Wisconsin voters, should the president be above the law? Have you ever asked that one on a poll before, sir?
That one really hasn't come up in the past. Just to say this clearly, we were actually in the field a little earlier. We were in from last Sunday to last Thursday night.
Okay.
We bumped it up a little bit because of stuff we were doing this week. We released 2 polls, not 1 this week. And so we bumped it up. But it means that we were in the field after well after the transcript of the conversation with the Ukrainian president. We were also a full week after Trump's announcement that we were going to pull out of Syria. But we were before the most recent testimony that you were talking about.
And before the admission of Mick Mulvaney, yes, quid pro quo. But you'd have to timestamp the questions, Charles.
Well, in all seriousness, I knew that the Syria issue was there before I had to finalize the questionnaire. But it's really hard to know what is going to happen over the next week. And as a result, we asked several foreign policy questions that I think capture the impact of Syria. But we don't have a direct question on Syria in this poll. We'll follow that up the next poll when the situation is maybe a little more clear. But, 2 weeks ago when this was developing, it was very unclear how it was going to turn out.
Well, reality on the ground will be different 2 weeks from now, Charles. Let me ask you, the impeachment topic, of course, driven right now by the phone call you mentioned. You mentioned the transcript. What are people saying about the phone call? Is this something that's proper or not?
Right. Well, very much not. We asked, is it proper to ask Ukraine and China to investigate a U.S. citizen? We didn't say Biden. We also didn't say Trump. Is it proper for the president to ask that? Only 23% said it was proper. 67% said it was not. We also asked whether you had personally read the transcript. And pretty high, 40% said they had read the transcript. 59% had not. And it was really interesting that there was absolutely no difference between Democrats and Republicans in the percentage that had read it. That's kind of surprising because you might imagine Democrats would be really interested in reading it and Republicans might not care for it so much. But there was no difference on that. And of those who had read the transcript, 51% said we should move on with hearings. Of those who had not read the transcript, only 42% said we should have hearings. So that difference of 9 points suggests that reading the transcript had an effect that was unrelated to party because we know that equal numbers of Dems and Reps actually read the transcript.
Or perhaps it is a different theory. Republicans, when polled, they lie to pollsters, Charles. I don't believe 40% of them read the transcripts, but I believe in your polling data, sir. I've got to ask you, Trump's approval rating in the state of Wisconsin, how's he doing?
Pretty much where he's been for his entire term. Approval is at 46%. It's either been at 44, 45, or 46% for the last 2 years. So there's just not a lot of movement that we're seeing in his overall approval rating. Where we're seeing the chinks in the armor is in the details like foreign policy approval. So it was 46-51 this time. It was 45-53 last time. His economic approval is up a shade, 51% approved. But on foreign policy, only 37% approved. And on whether his foreign policy has helped or hurt the U.S. standing in the world, only 32% say it's helped the U.S. position. Finally, we asked one other foreign policy question. Do you think we'll get a nuclear agreement with North Korea in the next year or two? Only 24% believe that. So I think that range between a low of 24 or 32 and a high of 46 or maybe 51 for the economy shows that there is actually a range of ways people think Trump has performed Some are a little better, like the economy. Some are much worse, like foreign policy. And right now, the foreign policy issues are front and center, and we'll see if that exerts some downward pressure on his job approval, which otherwise really has looked like a stone, hardly moving from month to month or even year to year.
Charles, let's talk domestic policy. Let's talk about Wisconsin's new governor, Tony Evers. What's the voters, or at least the polled voters, approval or disapproval of Tony?
Solid approval. 52-34 approved, disapproved. That's a net of plus 18. Governor Walker never came anywhere close to plus 18 in our polling. And that's hardly changed. It was 54-34 at the end of August, plus 20. Both of those numbers are up significantly from where they were back in the spring, in April, before the budget process in the summer. And so it shows that Evers has built support over the course of his first 10 months in office, not stayed flat or let alone go down, but rather a solid increase.
Charles Franklin, our friend, fine pollster. Charles, do you have a few more minutes, or are we done?
Oh, I'm happy to stick around.
Excellent.
Excellent, sir. One little footnote I would have, I don't think Scott Walker was ever plus 18 in the Walker family. Come back with us and our fine guest, Charles Franklin, pollster extraordinaire from the Marquette University Law School poll. More Devil's Advocates. The happy hour is upon us.
I don't care about those people, man. I could care less what they think.
Very powerful.
I don't see the support. I don't support it.
Wisconsin Senate Majority Leader Scott Fitzgerald doesn't see the support for legalized medicinal marijuana, even though the 2018 midterm referendum in 11 counties and the city of Waukesha passed by over 79%. Call Scott Fitzgerald at 608-266-5660. Tell him you support legalized medicinal marijuana.
No, I don't see it.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org. This is Dom from the Devil's Advocates. You know, in the 7 years that Rudy and I have been doing the show, we have never had a more engaged, dialed in, and motivated audience, and we love them for it. Now is the time for you to reach the greatest audience ever. Call now, advertise with the Devil's Advocates and Real Resistance Radio. Market your products or services, get your message out, join the resistance. Call us at 414-635-0872. That's 414-635-0872, or go to realresistanceradio.com.
My congressman, our good friend Mark Pocan, if Donald Trump's under attack, Mark, are you worried about his inspired followers rising up and voting him to re-election?
I am trying to approach this with blinders on when it comes to the political side of it. If he has violated the Constitution, it is our obligation to do an impeachment. And I think from what I've read, I feel that. I think when we get some witnesses in, we'll really have full clarity on that. But if it was just political reasons, some people say, well, then you're going to get, Mike Pence, is that good? And you can second guess every decision we ever make in politics if it's just about politics. In this case, I think that you rise to the Constitution. And if he has violated the Constitution, which I believe he has, there's obstruction on multiple counts, then we have no choice but to do our constitutional job and go after that.
Listen to the Devil's Advocates interviews at domandcroot.com. Click on the podcast tab and select interviews. That's domandcroot.com.
The Devil's Advocates. They refuse to do math on the radio.
We are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. If you missed any of this fine program, please go online to domandcroot.com. You can listen to and download podcasts and interviews.
Dominic got a fine guest. He stuck around. Charles Franklin, director, Marquette University Law School polling. It dropped today. Charles, got to ask you about our senators, Tammy Baldwin and Ron Johnson. How are they doing in the opinions of the Wisconsinites you polled?
Well, Tammy Baldwin is 46 favorable, 39 unfavorable, 14% say they don't have an opinion of her. But Ron Johnson is at 40 favorable, 29 unfavorable, and 30% say they don't have an opinion about him. This has been an issue with Johnson throughout his time in office in our polling, that the don't know rate for him is consistently a bit higher than for Baldwin. As we get close to elections, people become more aware of Senator Johnson and, are pretty well aware of him at election time. But then he seems to drop off between elections a little bit more than Baldwin does.
Charles, I guess in that vein, national, of course, President Trump, is he a trustworthy sort? What do the people of Wisconsin say on that note?
Yeah, we've been asking a series of traits about Trump off and on, as we do for all the candidates. Is he keeping the promises he made in the election? 47% say yes, 46% say no. About an even divide, and that hasn't changed very much. That's the theme of all of this. With Trump, not much has changed. Does he care about people like you? 40% yes, 57% no. You guys might be a special case on that. And is he someone who's honest? 30% yes, 65% no. He's never done terribly well on this, typically been in the 30s. 30 and 65 is the worst split on this question we've seen, but not by a whole big margin. It's 4 or 5 points more net negative than it has been in the last year or so.
And Charles, we just got a couple of minutes left here. Speaker Voss was quoted in the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel basically insinuating that your polling was somehow slanted, that you weren't...
You're mean, Charles.
That
You're quite unfair.
You weren't asking clear questions. And this was regard to the 80-some% that were favored some sort of gun safety measures. Charles, did you talk about guns, and do you have a comment for the speaker about the veracity of your polling methods?
Yeah, now I've been criticized by folks on the left and the right. I let them speak for themselves, and I let the poll speak for itself. You can read the questions online if you want to see how they're worded. But the fact is, and I think this is actually the serious point of this, there's a lot of range in opinion about guns. And to treat it as if it were monolithic is, I think, wrong. So we asked on this poll about the proposal to buy back assault weapons that are owned legally by citizens. 42% were in favor of that, but 54% opposed. And there was a massive chasm among partisans, 13% of Republicans for, but 76% of Democrats for. That's the kind of big divisive gun issue that we often run into. But when you look at background checks or red flag laws, 80+% support them, and over 70% of Republicans support it. So the point is there's a big range in opinion here, and it's much more complicated than just are you pro-gun or anti-gun.
Charles Franklin, our good friend, the director of the Marquette University Law School poll. Charles, you said there was another poll. Where's that poll at, sir? Where can I find that?
Monday, we released our first national poll about opinion on the U.S. Supreme Court, and we hosted a big conference about it all day Monday.
Man, I've been asleep all week, Charles.
Exciting stuff if you care of the court. Right?
Charles, thank you so much. Appreciate you coming on. You know, I didn't know I was going to be in Milwaukee or have Charles today. What a great day. More Devil's Advocates, the happy hour. It's right now.
Do you want to be a winner? All the winners I know like the Devil's Advocates Facebook page.
The number's probably 28, 29, as high as 35. In fact, I even heard recently 42.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
GOAT, G-O-A-T, acronym, stands for Greatest of All Time. As in, spaghetti sandwiches for dinner? They're my fave. Dad, you're the GOAT.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Tune in to Matt Flynn Direct weekdays from 2 to 3 on WRRD 1510 AM and Talk 92.7 FM Madison. We'll be covering all politics, national to local, from a Wisconsin perspective. This is an open mic, no holds barred, call on any political subject. That's Matt Flynn Direct, weekdays 2 to 3 on WRRD 1510 AM and Talk 92.7 FM Madison. Always streaming at newstalk1510am.com.
Cut you down.
You are listening to WRRD 1510 AM, Waukesha, Milwaukee. Always streaming at newstalk1510am.com.
You concerned about speaking up at work? Do you feel like you have no say in your day-to-day work routine? Join Teamsters Local 344. Call 414-258-4545. Get a seat at the table. Join your brothers and sisters in negotiating for better wages, hours, and working conditions, and be part of the most powerful union in North America. Teamsters Local 344 covers sales and service throughout Southeast Wisconsin and package and airlines statewide. Contact Teamsters Local 344 at 414-258-4545 or at local344.org.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern.
Madison Liquidators has officially moved into a bigger, nicer showroom off Pleasant View Road in Middleton, and they are proud to announce they have expanded to provide educational and healthcare institutional furnishings. They have great new offerings of quality new office furnishings from industry leaders like Groupe Lacoste and Via Seating, and you can see the expanded and extensive inventory of used furniture online at MadisonLiquidators.com, or you can call Kelly and have her help you make a plan for your new space. Start today at MadisonLiquidators.com and tell them you heard them on Talk 92.7 FM.
If you're like a lot of companies, you know you need IT, but you aren't sure where to start. That's where Five Nines comes in. Hi, I'm Todd Stryker, President and CEO. For almost 15 years, Five Nines has been providing IT solutions to companies just like yours. We'll show you the solutions that are right for your business and give you the roadmap to success in the future. Find us at 5nines.com. That's the number 5, NINES.com.
For WRRD and WTTN, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. A Milwaukee police officer's encounter with a motorist is making news nationwide, and not for a bad reason. Officer Kevin Zimmerman, who works out of the 5th District, pulled over Lachey Jackson earlier this month because of a registration issue. When he approached the vehicle, he noticed that Ms. Jackson's 2 daughters did not have car seats. Jackson told Zimmerman she was tight on money, and the next thing on the list were winter coats and boots. So instead of giving Jackson a ticket, Officer Zimmerman went to the store and bought 2 car seats and even installed them in Jackson's car. Zimmerman said his parents taught him to always do the right thing when no one's looking. Outside tonight, rain likely, lows in the upper 30s. You're listening to WRRD and WTTN.
Kicking ass and taking names since the Wisconsin Uprising. Dom and Crute are the Devil's Advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show, the Hump Day Happy Hour. It continues. I want to thank our most recent fine guest, Charles Franklin, the director of the Marquette University Law School poll. And as is Charles's custom, he appeared here during the happy hour on polling day, Dom. And I got to tell you, I woke up this morning. I didn't know I'd be in Milwaukee with you. I didn't know Charles Franklin was dropping a poll today. So, you know, we're all pleasantly surprised. And we'll get to the phones in just a minute. Be patient, Kurt. And be like Kurt. Dial us, 844-967-2789. One last thought on the polling I have. Robin Voss, accused Charles Franklin of using misleading questions. We read those questions on air yesterday. Nothing terribly misleading about them, to my opinion.
Nothing misleading whatsoever, so long as you have a reasonable grasp of the English language.
And I'm not clear that I do, but Charles Franklin
He does.
mention, there's often criticism that comes from the right, in this case, Robin Voss, and occasionally from the good guys on the left. And I have, on rare occasion, accused Charles Franklin of oversampling Republicans.
You will almost rip on him or rib him. You're not being mean about it, but you bring it up
Pointing
often.
out the truth of the lack of objectivity because of the oversampling of Republicans.
Yeah.
And we also know from guys like, Dave, our former producer, Grumpy Dave.
Yeah.
They lie to pollsters.
Yes.
Republicans lie to pollsters. So when Robin Voss complains about universal background checks and red flag laws, knowing that some Republicans, which is the vast majority of the people that Charles Franklin polls uniformly pretty much across all his polls, like 100% Republicans, I think.
Come on.
If they're also lying, then the numbers could theoretically be much higher than 80 or 81% support. Misleading questions or not.
Yes.
And Charles Franklin, so gracious that he is, said, my polls stand for themselves. And as I said on this fine show yesterday, that's a nice guy's way of saying, kiss my ass, Robin Voss.
Misleading. Come on.
I bet he's wanted to say that to me more than once. Crudy. Kiss my ass, Crudy. 844-967. No one would ever say that to me, would they? Not to my face.
Sure they would.
Okay, it's happened a few times. 844-967-2789. Kurt from Madison. Please be kind, Kurt.
You're trying to tempt me there, weren't you?
Yes, I think he was. Be gentle with him, Kurt.
All right. As one that avoids a sports analogy, this kind of reminds me of the Wisconsin-Illinois game. We're supposed to take them by 14 easily. The Democrats
31 was the line on that game. Not that I'm a wagering man, but the Badgers were 31-point favorites.
Oh, my God. Okay. To use that one, it even works better now. Anyway, you would think that the Democrats could finally learn a new skill, and that's just steal one from the Republicans. Because if this was reversed, the Republicans would have had the authorities arrest every last one of them before they could even close their phones. And you can guarantee they would have done it.
You know what's trending right now on Twitter, Kurt? Arrest Matt Gaetz.
That?
Arrest Matt Gaetz. It's trending.
They should all be arrested. I mean, every last one of them. We know that this is all a clear violation. And plus, Gaetz knew this was coming.
Somebody told the president. Bloomberg reports that the president condoned it prior. And so Gaetz, who is the quote-unquote ringleader, according to Bloomberg, told the boss, the Cheeto Messiah, hey, what do you think about our idea? We're going to go charge the mound. And Trump said, yes, please go obstruct justice. But because he didn't say obstruct justice, then there's no real crime or ethical lapse or any of that kind of stuff because he didn't say, go break stuff specifically.
Kurt, how about that the Republicans who barged into this confidential hearing, that they received the same punishment that you or I would if we had done the same thing? I mean, is that too much to ask for? I mean, do they get a pass because they're normally in a different part of the building during the day and they got their little congressional pin? They get a pass? I don't think that's appropriate. I think that's part of the problem that I have with what's going on in this country right now.
I can't say it better than you did, but again, the Democrats are always made a fun of that we're a bunch of little patsies and we are not tough enough. Well, if someone had at least someone arrested, then we would at least start to show the Republicans that we're not going to be sitting on our hands. But that opportunity is gone now. We have to wait.
Come on, show a little backbone, will you?
Right. Thanks, guys.
All right, thanks, Kurt. Appreciate it, man.
Scott Walker had us arrested. Thought it would somehow improve his stance as a presidential candidate, didn't he, Dom?
And to just briefly address the sports analogy, the Badgers' terrible loss. I blame Scott Walker. He was tweeting out about the Badgers, and everything he touches dies. So there you go.
Well, As a non-wagering man, my non-wager actually is on Ohio State. So I hope we've stirred up the hornet's nest and we're ready to kick some ass in Buckeye land.
Oh, that's right. What was the guy's name we met at the bar down in?
Monopoly Paul. Not that I'm keeping track of.
Do you remember the name of the bar?
Vinny's in Westerville. I don't know. Mr.
Like
V's. Dominic. Bloomberg opinion piece, Francis Wilkinson. Democrats face their fears in Wisconsin. The Midwest shows that Trump's vote could actually grow in 2020. I'm going to jump into this piece. More in the middle here. About 3 million voters in Wisconsin cast ballots for president in 2016. Donald Trump defeated Hillary Clinton in the state by 22,748, a margin about 0.75%. We all know the sad story. The election was so narrow that either Gary Johnson, the Libertarian candidate for president, Dom, you emceed their convention. You introduced Gary Johnson.
Hey, I met Gary. He's a nice guy.
Now, Jill Stein often gets blamed, right? The Green Party candidate. But Johnson received 106,674 votes, and Stein only received 31,072. So I blame the Libertarians for Trump.
I should have voted for Gary.
Not important here. Kane being a pollster, Kane and I, writes the author, are in an Italian restaurant 5 miles east of the Mississippi River, just outside La Crosse, Wisconsin.
Hey, it's a great town.
I bet they're in Onalaska, Don. Of Wisconsin, 72 counties, 23 switched from voting for Barack Obama in 2012 to Trump in 2016. Half a dozen of those pivot counties are here in southwestern Wisconsin near the river. If you follow the Mississippi South, you'll pass a series of counties in northwest Iowa that similarly switched from Democrat, pardon me, folks, from Democrat to Republican in 2016. Something went awry in the region. Understanding what has been a near obsession for Democrats such as Kane, who want to ensure the calamity is not repeated. A former Democratic politician in both Illinois and Wisconsin, Kane is married to Kathleen Vinehout.
Hey,
you know her.
yeah.
A former Democratic state senator from rural Buffalo County, which borders the river north of La Crosse. Buffalo, too, switched from Democrat to Republican in 2016. Hillary Clinton's victorious Election Day model for Wisconsin was wrong, but her mistake was widely shared. The weekend before the 2016 election, a knowledgeable pollster unaffiliated with Clinton assured me that Wisconsin would be closer than many supposed, but Democrats would prevail nonetheless. I think David Plouffe gave us a 100% guarantee.
100%.
Wisconsin is not a Democratic bastion despite presidential victories that stretch from 1988 until 16. Obama's solid wins in 08 and 12 were solid exceptions and solid evidence of what an exceptional politician he was. Obama's comfortable margins in the state obscured either perhaps more relevant data points. In 2004, John Kerry defeated George W. Bush in Wisconsin by a little more than 11,000 votes, less than 0.4%. Al Gore won the state over Bush in 2000 by fewer than 6,000 votes. Between its warm embraces of Obama, Wisconsin elected Scott Walker. An aggressive Republican partisan, the author writes, as gubernator in 2010, again in 2012, in a recall election, and once more in 14. After going for Trump in 16, the state voted for liberal Democrat Tammy Baldwin, the nation's first openly gay U.S. senator, in a landslide in 2018, and also elected Tony Evers for governor over Walker by a very slim margin. Wisconsin is home to Obama, Walker, Trump, Baldwin voters.
What?
They exist. Political shapeshifters who seem to defy reason as well as partisanship. Yeah, half of our audience, apparently, Dom. After the 2016 debacle, Vinehout and Kane zeroed in on another species of voter who contributed to the surprise. Rural white men who were not regular voters. I called the clerks. I called up the poll workers. I wanted to know what happened, recalled Vinehout in a telephone interview. What the clerks and poll workers told her is that a number of Wisconsinites who voted in 2016 were new faces. In rural counties like Buffalo, Vinehout said, ward-level data shows that a lot of people came to the polls for the first time.
Some Democrats fear that Trump has the equivalent of reserve troops, non-college educated white males who didn't vote in 2016, but who, after 4 years of Trump's domination of media, political culture, and the very oxygen we all breathe, might turn out in 2020. You can register and vote in Wisconsin on Election Day in 3 counties in this southwest corner of the state, each of which flipped from Democrat to Republican. Same-day registration jumped from 2012 to 2016, up 22% in Vernon County, up 40% in Crawford, up 54% in Grant. They were in their 20s, 30s, and 40s, and they were farmers, and they were mostly men, Vinehout said, of the new voters, and they voted for Trump. Wisconsin is not certain to be the pivotal state in the 2020 election. American politics retains ample capacity to surprise, but it's the state most likely to put one candidate or another over the 270 threshold in the Electoral College. If you take all the states where Trump is less popular than Wisconsin, that's not enough to win the Electoral College, said the state Democratic Party chair Ben Wickler. All the states where he's more popular than Wisconsin, not enough to win the Electoral College. So whoever wins Wisconsin essentially will be the president. There are 2 main analytical schools among Democrats preparing for 2020. The first interprets Trump's 2016 victory as a final desperate lunge by white Christian conservatives seeking to retain the racial, sexual, and class hierarchies of the 20th century. Pollster Stanley Greenberg is prominent in this camp, arguing that Trump's coalition is tapped out and that the erosion of his support since 2016 among educated whites and non-college educated white women dooms him in 2020. Greenberg titled his new book, GOP RIP. There's a less sanguine view of the landscape as well. One strategist I've spoken to in recent weeks believes the shock of 2016 proved that political professionals simply don't have a handle on a volatile new environment, which could shift again.
Maybe.
In a pre-Trump conventional political universe, the Democratic response to 2016 is both obvious and mundane. Do a little better in the right places. Given the narrow margin of the 2016 defeat, a function solely of the Electoral College, since Clinton won the national popular vote by almost 3 million.
Don't tell Trump.
There is a demographic smorgasbord of targets for Democrats in 2020. Everyone knows what they are in Wisconsin. And here's the bullet points. Diminish Trump's margins in rural Wisconsin, where he ran up the score in 2016, and where the farm economy going into 2020 is far from great. Number 2, increased turnout among black voters in Milwaukee, where a sizable dip from the 2012 vote was devastating to Clinton. Also, push college-educated white voters in the Republican suburb, especially the densely populated rim above Milwaukee.
Talking to you, Waukesha, Washington, and Ozaukee counties.
To act on their discomfort with Trump, preferably by voting Democratic. These voters have been slower than suburban voters in other states to leave the GOP. Rally young voters to oust a president whose policies appear designed to punish them for the rest of their lives with carbon and debt. And the final bullet point, Crudy, persuade more married white women Persuade more married white women without college educations, arguably the electoral hinge on which the fate of the nation will hang, to vote against Trump and against their many mega husbands.
Where are the white women at? I'll read on. Marginal gains among a few of these groups could turn Wisconsin blue in 2020 and make a Democrat the next president. But there are a couple of catches. First, what if Trump represents not a last gasp of cultural and racial, I don't know that word, but a new wave? What if the trickle of white men who voted for the first time in the years in Wisconsin in 2016, despite widespread prediction that Trump's candidacy was doomed, is followed by 2020 by a wave of previously non-voting white males who conclude that Trump's brand of tribal aggression is at last something worth voting for? The universe of non-voters is vast. Nationwide, 4 in 10 of those eligible did not vote in 2016. According to Brookings Institute demographer William Fry, more than 21 million non-voters in 2016 were non-college educated white men. Trump's base in Wisconsin, which is 81% non-Hispanic white, 459,000 non-college educated white men did not vote in 2016. Trump won non-college educated white men nationwide by an astonishing 50 points.
Wow.
A modest rise in their turnout in key states in 2020 could swamp the Democratic nominee. Political campaigns are generally organized to appeal to voters, not non-voters. Strategists know how much more the former than the latter. Low propensity voters tend to be low information voters with weaker, non-existent ties to political institutions and limited interest in politics. But Trump has been politicizing every corner of American life, from consumer brands to social media and even football. With politics inescapable, how many more non-voters might join the fray? The question leads to a second catch. In a nation in which the confidence in political institutions, including political parties, is grievously injured, in which once trusted mediating institutions such as unions are depleted, in which millions of voters reject legitimate news and information sources in favor of propaganda. See Righty Whitey Talk Radio. How do you effectively rebut Trump's appeal to low information voters and encourage them to embrace a democratic alternative or even to accept the basic facts about the contours of reality? On the opposite side of the state from La Crosse, on the second floor of a Milwaukee church, Angela Lang supervises a team of paid canvassers seeking to put the jagged pieces of representative democracy back together. Lang, 30, knocked on her first door to get out the vote for Barack Obama in 2008. She now runs Block, Black Leaders Organizing Communities, which sends canvassers into mostly poor black neighborhoods in the city to knock on thousands of doors and engage residents. Here's a quote, "We knocked on our first door on November 29th of 2017, said Lang, and essentially haven't stopped knocking since, outside of maybe a week or two here or there for the holidays or to regroup. In a digital age, knocking on doors is perhaps the crudest means of political organizing. Conversations with 24 Democratic activists left little doubt, however. The Democrats are measuring their preparations for 2020 in doorways as well as in dollars. The state party brags that it already has 13 organizers on the ground and has dispatched volunteers to knock on more than 200,000 Wisconsin doors more than a year before the election. It's not a project to solely encourage black voters turnout. On Thursday night in Green Bay, as the Packers played the Philadelphia Eagles at a nearby Lambeau Field, 36 local Democrats, almost all of them white, attended a meeting with Wickler, the state party chair. Folks, we are the Devil's Advocates. A little more to this article, a few more minutes in this show. We'll come right back. The happy hour, it continues, although this has got me a little scared, Dom. It's supposed to be a blue wave, not a Trump turnout in 2020.
The man's a menace. Explain that, because my voters don't get it.
The Devil's Advocates are going on an adventure, and we want you to join us. Our friends at Expedia Cruise Ship Centers of Madison will be hosting an informational session on October 23rd at 7 p.m. to share all the details about our inaugural Devil's Advocates Mexican cruise. Join Crudy October 23rd at 7 p.m. and get all the details.
Expedia Cruise Ship Centers of Madison. Expedia Prices, local service. Visit them on Madison's west side off Mineral Point Road or Google Expedia Cruise Ship Centers of Madison. Ask about the Devil's Advocate special.
More power, more fight, the most heart. Gingras, Thompson & Walks is more than a law firm. We're family. We believe in doing our best to help people in need and right the wrong that's occurred. For more than 35 years, we've helped thousands of clients across the state of Wisconsin get the justice they deserve. Our proven track record of success isn't based solely on our knowledge of the judicial system. Rather, we make it our priority to get to know our clients and their cases so we can best represent them. Gingras, Thompson & Walks. Find us online at gtwlawyers.com.
Teens in foster care will love you, even if you don't know the lingo.
Dad bod, noun. The result of the occasional donut, always washed down with confidence.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council. Visit adoptuskids.org.
When you shop Goodwill, you don't just bring home a vintage dress or cat lamp. You bring home so much good to your community because everything you buy funds local job training and more. Goodwill. Bring good home. Brought to you by Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Free and equal education is and has always been a cornerstone to this nation. Yet our public school systems, once the envy of the world, has never faced more scrutiny than right now. Caught between political bickering and big business cash grabs, our schools are under attack, and the people that stand to lose the most are our children. Join Dr. Tim Slecker for Busted Pencils Radio. Educated educators talking education. Tuesday nights at 7, right here on WRRD 1510 AM, Milwaukee.
I don't know if you know the Devil's Advocates, but they are kind of a big deal.
Last segment of the day. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Once again, the website to go back and relive all the highlights, domandcrute.com.
You know I'm selfish, man. I always turn my microphone on first, even if it's your turn. Because I probably have something more important to say. Probably.
Maybe. Well, we know you have something to say.
Generally. We'll never get to the end of this Bloomberg opinion piece in the short time this show has left. But here are a few major points still contained. The vast majority of African American voters in Wisconsin reside right here in Milwaukee. Democrats better turn them out. Also, let's talk about the white women for just a minute. White women have been souring on Trump. I'm reading again. Everyone's like, oh, God.
Oh, great.
These include non-college educated white women who, according to the Pew Research Center, Trump won by 23 points in 2016. Such women are less supportive of Trump's racial aggression than white men without a college degree and less inclined to view him as a successful steward of the economy. Whites without a college degree cast about 3/5 of the total vote in the state, talking about Wisconsin, in 2018. If Democrats are going to prevail in Wisconsin in 2020, they will likely have to peel a sizable number of non-college educated white women away from Trump. You better turn out African Americans in Milwaukee, and you better have something to offer white women in the state of Wisconsin, outstate, rural, southwestern, midwestern, all across the state.
When we had Weinhaut on in the past, and we talked about these new voters,
first-time voters for Trump,
it was stunning. I mean, I had no idea that many. I mean, we know a lot of people do not engage, but to have that many come out first-time voters in the 20s, 30s, and 40s and go for Trump, Crudy, you and I have been to
register on the day of the election and vote for the very first time. Sometimes, according to Kathleen Weinhaut, who we trust a lot, what did she say? Vernon County, like a 40% increase.
It's amazing. I mean, it was. We go to a Trump rally. It's like a WWE show, man. They're there for the hype. They're there for the fun.
Theoretically, there are, Trump, Walker, Obama, Baldwin voters?
Yes.
But that number's got to be very, very small. They were different people. It wasn't the same people that elected and voted for Barack Obama that came out and voted for Donald Trump. Weinhaut taught us that. I hope the Democrats are listening. What's her role in the party these days?
I don't know. I hope she's involved somehow.
She's been excluded, near as I can tell.
Oh,
certainly
no,
from
you're
the
kidding
administration.
me. She's an amazing person.
She is. Thank you to Charles Franklin, our good friend, director of the Marquette University Law School poll. More Devil's Advocates. We'll do it again tomorrow. Hopefully I'll be in Madison, but one never knows. Have a great night. Join me for the cruise stuff at 7 in Madison.
We have to bring back law and order. I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody, and I wouldn't lose any voters, okay?
Don't worry, nobody's listening anyway.
We're building a wall in Colorado.
Well, let's give him credit. At least he didn't spike himself.
Tune in to Wisconsin's Political Talk on WRRD 1510 AM. Weekdays, hear the Earl Ingram Show from 6 to 9 a.m. Next, it's Stephanie Miller from 9 to 11. From 11 till 2, the Tom Hartman Program. At 2 o'clock, it's Matt Flynn Direct. From 3 to 6, the Devil's Advocates. And at 6, it's Busted Pencils, Brandy Grayson, and Maggie Dawn. Wisconsin's Political Talk. Listen online at newstalk1510am.com.
You concerned about speaking up at work? Do you feel like you have no say in your day-to-day work routine? Join Teamsters Local 344. Call 414-258-4545. Get a seat at the table. Join your brothers and sisters in negotiating for better wages, hours, and working conditions, and be part of the most powerful union in North America. Teamsters Local 344 covers sales and service throughout Southeast Wisconsin and package and airlines statewide. Contact Teamsters Local 344 at 414-258-4545 or at local344.org.
You are listening to WRRD